Mysterious man with long black hair and a red robe stands amidst a swirling dark energy. A shocked blonde office worker gasps in utter disbelief at the sudden presence before him. A towering red-robed figure stands imposingly over the startled office worker near a shattered window. A red-eyed black-haired man menacingly inquires if this office manages the 10 greatest sects. The imposing intruder steps closer, casting a shadow over the paralyzed employee. High up on the 11th floor of the modern skyscraper, a single window is shattered. Explanatory slides outline a unique idol group concept where each member wields distinct superpowers. This martial arts-themed supergroup is officially debuted under the name of the 10 greatest sects. The agency's representative created these martial art idols purely out of his personal passion. The chibi manager explains that the group represents the 9 major sects of the main faction. The group incorporates concepts from various legendary factions like Shaolin and the Volcanic Sect. Internal disputes plague the group, causing 6 members to withdraw and leaving only 5. Recruiting an outsider ruined their original faction concept, bringing the group count back to 6. Suddenly, paper flutters out of the office printer, shifting the focus back to the manager. A flattering sheet of paper lands on the head of the group's veteran 8-year manager. The manager internally questions if this oddly dressed man is just a very passionate cosplayer. The black-haired intruder demands an answer from the terrified manager as his hair whooshes. A sudden shaking causes a clattering sound as the manager's hand trembles violently over the mouse. Manager trembles, feeling an immense, suffocating pressure radiating from the mysterious man. The towering warrior stands motionless as the terrified manager shakes uncontrollably in his seat. The red-eyed intruder gasps in sudden realization as he observes the trembling worker. Stepping forward with a loud clack, the black-haired man mocks the manager for being so pitifully scared. The intruder reassures the manager that his mood is good, encouraging him to speak comfortably. The manager nervously agrees while stray papers swirl through the drafty office room. The manager realizes there are too many bizarre elements to simply dismiss the man as insane. The intruder's posture and ancient-style clothing suggest someone completely untouched by modern technology. The intricate embroidery and ornaments resemble authentic traditional attire straight out of a wuxia novel. Breaking in through an 11th floor window, the stranger has brought a bizarre, howling wind inside. A sudden flap sounds as another sheet of paper plasters itself directly onto his head. Beneath the flowing dark hair, a single crimson eye gleams with an intense, cruel focus. The manager tentatively begins to speak as he rises from his chair in front of the giant. With a forced smile, the manager politely requests to know the towering stranger's identity. The red-eyed intruder lets out a thoughtful hum, seemingly amused by the polite request. Flapping his red sleeves with a flourish, the black-haired man agrees to share his name. With a dramatic whoosh, the intruder shocks the manager by declaring himself to be the Heavenly Demon. The blonde manager's eyes widen as a cold shiver runs down his spine in utter shock. A foreboding narrative slide explains that the Heavenly Demon is the absolute leader of the demonic sect. If this is indeed a wuxia world, then he represents the absolute strongest entity alive. Sitting in his room later, the manager contemplates the absurdity of encountering a fictional entity. Crimson eyes pierce through the darkness, reminding him of the terrible presence currently in his office. Gulping nervously, the manager musters up the courage to ask if the man is truly the legendary figure. The black-haired man calmly confirms his identity as the Heavenly Demon with an arrogant smirk. Instantly, the manager drops to his knees and kowtows, declaring there is no need for him to be polite. Trembling on the floor, the manager asks why the legendary figure is seeking the 10 greatest sects. The Heavenly Demon paces around, explaining he heard that in Korea, those ignorant of the sects are spies. The red-robed warrior explains that it has been quite some time since he fell into this world. Sitting on his knees, the manager listens as the warrior reveals he has been researching modern culture. The manager hesitantly notes that the warrior must know the 10 greatest sects are actually just idols. The Heavenly Demon gives a knowing, sinister smile as he looks back over his shoulder. The manager looks up in apprehension as the ancient warrior stands poised before him in the office. The blonde manager is completely taken aback when the intimidating warrior insults his hearing. A dramatic flutter sounds as the imposing warrior proudly shows off his majestic dark hair. The handsome warrior flashes a dazzling, confident smile surrounded by blooming white roses. The warrior continues to radiate a breathtaking model-like aura in the middle of the office. The blonde manager stares in absolute sweat-dropping speechlessness at the warrior's dramatic vanity. The manager questions the warrior's sudden desire to become an idol, which the warrior immediately confirms. The manager clarifies if the legendary villain himself wants to join, and the warrior proudly agrees. The manager nervously questions the reason behind this utterly bizarre career choice. The warrior explains he must join the group representing the greatest sects to become the best idol. The warrior critiques the group's popularity, while the manager warns him about undesirable duties like fan service. A low whoosh sounds as the dark warrior casts a terrifying shadow, threatening the manager for complaining. The manager realizes further arguments are futile and desperately wonders how to handle this chaotic situation. His hand makes a tight grip on his lanyard as he resolves to take a drastic step. The agency director smiles gleefully from behind his desk, anticipating the meeting. The manager reacts in utter disbelief while the warrior stands beside him looking completely unbothered. The director casually explains that his approval is based entirely on the warrior's exceptionally handsome face. Manager objects to recruiting a legendary villain, but the director finds the demonic concept even better. The director enthusiastically argues that a warrior's physical prowess will translate perfectly into outstanding dance skills. The director continues to praise the warrior's dazzling physical appearance and deep, resonant voice. The manager is left sweating as he realizes the director has completely lost his mind. A sly chuckle sounds as the director giggles in delight, eager to see the absurd plan unfold. The manager points out that introducing a demonic villain contradicts their righteous concept and will upset fans. Sharp screech echoes as the smiling director prepares to dismiss the manager's logical concerns. The director stands up confidently, leaving the manager utterly stunned and speechless. The director places a comforting hand on the manager, flatly denying that performance talent even matters. The director passionately declares that visual appearance is the single most important factor for streetcast idols. The warrior agrees with the director, reciting a traditional saying about never compromising one's looks. The warrior boasts about having a literally deadly visual, but the manager quickly corrects his misunderstanding. The manager questions where the warrior learns such phrasing while the director leads them to the group. The director happily guides them forward, eager to introduce the warrior to his future teammates. The warrior suddenly halts, deeply offended at the idea of working under rival righteous sects. The director warns that a solo debut would take a year, causing the warrior to instantly comply. The manager stares ahead with a look of quiet resignation at the chaotic turn of events. The warrior walks ahead, haughtily demanding that the manager must fully support the absolute best. The warrior objects to another new member, but the director completely dismisses his complaints. The director easily wins the manager over by offering to double his salary, sparking instant compliance. A handsome, dark-haired young man is introduced as the current master of martial arts. The warrior skeptically asks if this ordinary-looking young man is indeed their new teammate. The warrior formally addresses the young man, who politely introduces himself as the group's martial artist. The warrior evaluates the new member, assuming his fire-based concept translates to high-level martial arts. The new member sheepishly agrees, while the manager facepalms over the misunderstanding of simple stage effects. The warrior poses a historical question, asking the new member to identify the first wuxia. The young man hesitates nervously, completely caught off guard by the ancient warrior's serious question. The young man smiles awkwardly as his ridiculous concept-heavy stage name is brought up. The manager covers his face in embarrassment as the new member is shocked that no one knows him. The new member admits he has only seen the warrior's face in their music videos. The manager recalls how the director recklessly scouted street cast members based purely on their handsome looks. The manager smiles tiredly, introducing himself as Chiomso Ui to remind everyone of his name. The manager explains to the new member that a genuine demonic leader is joining their group. The new member voices his concern about the contradiction, but the manager points out his sudden hypocrisy. The black-haired warrior questions the other's unquestioning belief while the nervous manager struggles to respond. The manager panics as the heavenly demon begins floating in mid-air right in front of him. With a cheerful clap, the dark-haired youth praises the floating trick, while the manager's soul escapes in horror. The dark-haired youth explains that the newcomer can join their lineup starting from the next song. The black-haired warrior abruptly halts the conversation, looking highly displeased with the suggested arrangement. Heavenly Demon snatches a phone using telekinesis, refusing to share song parts with righteous sex. The manager and teammate listen in stunned silence as the warrior claims he will handle everything himself. The warrior thrusts the smartphone forward, demanding a specific part of the video for himself. The group inspects the phone, realizing the warrior selected a music video where singing has not even begun. The manager and teammates stare at the phone screen in absolute wide-eyed bewilderment. A dramatic flashback reveals the group's intense wuxia-style performance concept in front of a traditional temple. The central performer dramatically snaps open a fan, embodying their righteous heaven and earth concept. Group's pink-haired lead singer Jo Jae-ha of the Hwasan sect is introduced. In the meeting room, Zhao Jaha complains about the constant, exhausting roster changes within the group. Ju Jaha points out Nam Gongjun's return, questioning why new members are still being added. Nam Gongjun, representing the Namgong clan, nervously suggests that adding new members should be fine. The manager watches in silent dread as Jo Jaha fiercely glares down a sweating teammate. The manager notes that Jo Jaha is heavily opposed because of his strong ambition and hard work. The manager reflects on why Nam Gongjun agrees, noting his struggle to integrate as a newcomer. The buzz-cut teammate tries to calm down Zhao Jaha, who is loudly screaming in frustration. The shaman sect's main dancer, Lee Tae-guk, reassuringly smiles as his introduction card appears. Sudden bang echoes as Zhao Jaha slams his hands down, furiously denying that he fears losing his part. Jo Jaha passionately argues that frequent lineup changes only cause unnecessary anxiety for their dedicated fanbase. The manager smiles awkwardly, mindful of their passionate fan club and the group's official fandom name. An illustrated scroll defines their fan club as a gathering place for all supporters of the sects. The manager gently coaxes Zhao Jaha to stay calm and listen to the full explanation. Lee Tae-guk clarifies that the newcomer won't steal singing parts, somewhat appeasing the disgruntled vocalist. Ju Jaha raises a logical question about how someone can possibly debut without any vocal lines. Lee Tae-guk suggests the new recruit is joining the dance line to fit their 10-member performance choreography. The manager feels relieved as Lee Tae-guk accepts the news calmly while Ju Ja-ha settles down. As the manager begins to introduce the new member, a large hand suddenly halts him mid-sentence. Baek Na-han, the youngest member representing the Shaolin sect, makes a calm and poised appearance. The manager and Nam Gang-jun look completely startled by Baek Na-han's sudden, rare intervention. The manager is astonished, noting that this is the first time Baek Na-han has ever spoken up. The manager recalls that Nam Gang-jun has always felt Baek Na-han's quiet, intense gaze on him. The manager observes the contrast between Baek Na-han's quiet intensity and the louder personalities in the room. Baek Na-han exudes a deeply spiritual aura, leaving everyone convinced he is truly mastering the Shaolin way. Confused by the unexpected opposition, the manager asks Baek Na-han to explain his reasoning. With absolute calm, the Shaolin disciple simply states his opposition is due to his deep anxiety. A sudden thud sounds as a comical imaginary Buddha dramatically thumps the sweating manager on the head. The manager explains that the director will bring the new member later, promising to oversee him personally. The teammates raise concerns about the management division, questioning who will look after their own manager now. A collective gasp of utter disbelief echoes through the room as the manager shares the upcoming arrangement. The manager confidently nods, pointing out that their unpredictable director is the one orchestrating this bizarre setup. The manager hesitates, warning the group that the upcoming revelation might cause them massive shock. A heavy foot steps into the room amidst the teammates' comical, whispered bickering and apologies. The manager internally prepares himself as their eccentric, anime-loving director arrives at the office door. The enthusiastic director throws open the door, cheerfully introducing the stunningly dressed new member to the group. The heavenly demon stands poised in a stylish black shirt, radiating an incredibly intense, model-like presence. The manager greets the director while the group whispers in awe of the newcomer's impressive modern style. The director gathers the group to announce the arrival of their new teammate, Wee Hwa Jin. The director asks the group to understand the newcomer's need to fully immerse himself in his demonic concept. The director cheerfully asks for questions while the newcomer and the manager exchange silent glances. The buzz-cut teammate, Baek Na-han, raises his hand to question if a demonic concept contradicts their righteous theme. The director cheerfully explains that their concept is to reform the reformed demons before quickly calling for the next question. The pink-haired vocalist, Jo Ja-ha, speaks up to ask about the age of their new teammate. The director reveals the newcomer is 24, leaving the manager sweating as the newcomer mutters about his age. The pink-haired vocalist realizes that almost everyone in the group is younger than the new recruit. The pink-haired vocalist gives a playful, mocking smile as he asks the older newcomer to take care of them. The newcomer smirks and agrees to look after the vocalist, noting his Hwasan sect background. The dark-haired teammate welcomes him, while the pink-haired vocalist looks closely, wondering if his long hair is real. The teammates comment on the maintenance of his long hair as the director looks on happily. The manager reacts in surprise, wondering if the newcomer is speaking directly to him. Smiling proudly, the newcomer confidently asserts that his body is now that of a proper idol. Stunned by the sudden declaration, the manager reluctantly admits that the modern style actually suits him quite well. The pink-haired vocalist reprimands the newcomer for speaking bluntly to the manager while a teammate tries to excuse him. The pink-haired vocalist insists the newcomer must respect the hierarchy, while the manager nervously tries to calm everyone down. The newcomer nods slightly, confidently stating that in his view, hierarchy simply means the strong are on top. The teammates react in absolute shock, while the manager frantically explains that the newcomer is simply from a different culture. The pink-haired vocalist asks who stands at the top of his hierarchy, while the buzz-cut teammate tries to restrain him. The newcomer stares in silent contemplation, his crimson eyes gleaming with cold intensity. The teammates and manager are left staring in silent, wide-eyed bewilderment at his intense expression. The pink-haired vocalist asks when they will perform together, and a teammate suggests it will be for the next album. The director smiles confidently beside the newcomer, who stands silent and resolute during the discussion. The pink-haired vocalist's eyes widen in sheer shock as he realizes the sudden implications of the timeline. The pink-haired vocalist and teammate question how they can possibly learn a new choreography in such a short time. Newcomer turns to the pink-haired vocalist with a smug expression, asking if he lacks confidence. The pink-haired vocalist looks back in disbelief at the newcomer's bold and unexpected provocation. The newcomer mockingly repeats his question, asking once more if the vocalist is simply not confident. The newcomer keeps a smug smile, confidently challenging the vocalist's abilities with a repeat of his question. The pink-haired vocalist clenches his teeth in pure silent fury at the newcomer's mockery. The pink-haired vocalist angrily retorts that they can easily perform well even if the choreography changes last minute. The newcomer bluntly asks if the pink-haired vocalist sings, only to receive a flat denial from him. The pink-haired vocalist asks about his dancing, and the newcomer calmly admits he has never danced before. The pink-haired vocalist demands to know what he will do as an idol, and the newcomer mentions trying something similar. The newcomer confidently claims that performing to a simple melody will not be difficult at all. The pink-haired vocalist complains about the terrible concept while a blonde-haired teammate arrives at the door. The blonde-haired teammate opens the door and instructs the entire group to gather up for practice. The newcomer stands silently, his long black hair framing his handsome yet intimidating face. The silent tap, the newcomer touches his fingers to ear, lost in his own thoughts. The blonde-haired teammate cheerfully invites the newcomer to join the rest of the group. The blonde-haired teammate suggests they quickly look at the newcomer's dancing skills to decide on the new choreography. The pink-haired vocalist grabs the blonde teammate's arm in a sudden panic, loudly protesting the decision. With the sudden sharp humph sounding, the newcomer crosses his arms in dismissal as the vocalist complains about him. A light swishing sounds as the blonde teammate scratches his head, explaining that the CEO ordered them to debut the newcomer. The pink-haired vocalist complains to the manager about the absurd situation, while the buzz-cut teammate holds him back. The blonde teammate assures the group that the newcomer can dance well, urging everyone to watch first. The buzz-cut teammate calmly states his belief that he cannot dance, leaving the pink-haired vocalist utterly exasperated. A light rustling sounds as the manager nervously ties the newcomer's long black hair into a ponytail. The newcomer prepares himself, confidently declaring that his heart is as strong and unyielding as a diamond. A sudden bright shine flashes as Jo Ja-ha incredulously questions the newcomer's bold claim about his diamond-hard heart when they haven't even practiced their choreography yet. Wee Hwa-jin calmly rejects changing the dance formation, bluntly suggesting that any members who withdraw can easily be replaced by others. Sudden double thump sounds, leaving Baek Na-han and a bewildered Jo Ja-ha staring in silent surprise as the newcomer prepares to move. Wee Hwa-jin assumes a striking still pose as a soft musical note floats in the air, shifting the mood of the practice room. Two dark-haired teammates watch the display in quiet amazement, completely captivated by the newcomer's sudden grace. Wee Hwa-jin flows effortlessly into a breathtaking dance, his long black hair sweeping through the air with mesmerizing elegance. A sharp whoosh sounds as the newcomer's crimson eyes gleam with intense, unwavering focus mid-performance. A sudden sigh of relief echoes as the blonde teammate and the manager wonder if this incredible talent is why the CEO personally scouted him. A gentle rustling breeze suddenly sweeps past the startled manager as he senses a strange, powerful energy in the room. The sweating manager suddenly tenses up, realizing that something about the newcomer's performance is going dangerously wrong. While a teammate wonders if the newcomer's long hair is creating a breeze, the panicked manager frantically screams at them to stop. Loud swooshing sounds as Wee Hwa-jin unleashes a swirling red energy, prompting a terrified shout from the manager to stop immediately. A heavy double thump echoes as the manager and blonde teammate scream in absolute terror at the mounting force. Sudden sharp swish sounds as the manager desperately yells a warning just before the newcomer's channeled inner strength shatters the massive mirror. A sharp foosh sounds as the manager collapses in tears, completely despondent over the catastrophic damage. A formal notice stands before the office doors announcing a temporary relocation due to sudden wall repairs. The director stands silently, staring out of a massive shattered window while a construction worker prepares to repair the office wall. The director looks on with a solemn expression, contemplating the chaotic events that led to this destruction. The director addresses Wee Hwa-jin as the heavenly demon, prompting the newcomer to turn and listen in a dressing room. The director politely apologizes for asking, but curiously inquires where the newcomer acquired his surprisingly deep understanding of modern life. Wee Hwa-jin questions the term, while the director points to his familiarity with things like idols and the old radio room. Wee Hwa-jin questions his curiosity, while the director notes how unusual it is for the heavenly demon of Zhongyan to know such details. A quiet smirk plays on Wee Hwa-jin's face as he readily agrees to explain his source of information. Wee Hwa-jin explains that upon arriving, a helpful passerby directed him to an internet cafe when he sought answers. The director reacts with mild surprise, echoing the mention of an internet cafe with curious eyes. When the director asks if he used a computer, Wee Hwa-jin explains that someone told him about a cafe called Open. The director suddenly realizes Open is actually their own fan club's name, which is where the newcomer gathered his information. After describing the active online discussions, Wee Hwa-jin inquires about the tiny computers they use, which the director identifies as smartphones. Wee Hwa-jin eagerly confirms the name, demanding to know more about these fascinating portable devices. The director warns that smartphones are highly addictive, but a smiling Wee Hwa-jin confidently declares himself completely immune to addiction. A light chuckle escapes the director's lips as he finds the newcomer's supreme confidence highly amusing. The director reflects that despite not knowing the newcomer's true motives, he is simply thrilled to watch him up close. A loud clatter sounds as the director ecstatically holds up his phone, thrilled about a special surprise he has prepared. The director loudly encourages them to run faster as Hwa-jin and Jo Ja-ha dash past in a blur. The director playfully taunts their speed, loudly urging them to push past their limits and run even faster. Reverting to 30 minutes ago, a deafening crash shatters the air as a violent burst of red energy erupts. A soft whoosh sounds as dust settles over the weeping manager and his shocked blonde teammate in the ruined room. Jo Ja-ha and his teammates scream in utter bewilderment, shielding themselves from the sudden shockwave. The dark-haired teammate stammers in disbelief, completely frozen by the terrifying impact. The teammate frantically screams, asking if it was an earthquake and checking if everyone is unharmed. Sweating Jo Ja-ha looks on in complete disbelief, questioning if they actually just experienced an earthquake. The blonde teammate, turning around nervously, asks the others if they felt the intense tremor themselves. A calm teammate notes that the magnitude of the tremor must not have been very strong. Confused by the explanation, Jo Ja-ha and his teammate question what the fragile mirror has to do with it. Wee Hwa-jin suddenly calls out to the group, wondering why they aren't gathering since the food is ready. Wee Hua Jin scolds the team for overreacting to a broken mirror, blaming them for making a mess in the practice room. The blonde teammate checks on the manager, who dramatically claims his body is like a Buddha, leaving Zhao Jiaha highly skeptical. The dark-haired teammate addresses the rest of the group, steering their focus back to the immediate situation. The sweating manager gently offers the group a short break or a change of practice rooms to help them calm down. Zhu Jiaha firmly rejects taking a break, insisting they immediately revise the choreography and get back to practice. Group gathers in the practice room, discussing their options as a teammate agrees that Jiaha's point is valid. The buzz-cut teammate points out that they have already seen Hua Jin's dancing skills, suggesting they recreate the choreography because of their upcoming individual schedules. The sandy-haired manager checks his phone for empty practice rooms while Wee Hua Jin stands confidently behind him, claiming he can easily handle simple choreography. Zhu Jiaha and the manager turn around in surprise when Wee Hua Jin confidently asserts his ability to handle the choreography. The manager asks Wee Hua Jin if he redesigned the 6-person choreography himself, and Wee Hua Jin nods with a confident confirmation. Zhu Jiaha's eyes shine with pure excitement as he eagerly asks Wee Hua Jin if they can practice the newly created choreography together. Wee Hua Jin dismissively states that merely watching his simple movements will suffice, leaving a frustrated Zhou Jiaha questioning why he keeps assuming it is so simple. The blonde teammate suggests they try it out, asking the manager Soi if there are any vacant practice rooms available. The manager reports that no rooms are currently free, but Wee Hua Jin and Zhou Jiaha are ready to proceed with practice right where they are. One of the dark-haired teammates nervously touches his face, expressing hesitation about practicing there. The dark-haired teammate notes the long wait for another room, suggesting they instead watch and practice the choreography modified by the Heavenly Demon. The teammates readily agree, raising their hands and nodding in complete agreement with the plan. The dark-haired teammate smiles while the manager frantically interrupts to clean up the room. Wee Hua Jin stands before the mirrors, asking if they should play the music once everyone is ready. Wee Hua Jin stands silently with his eyes closed, calmly preparing himself to perform. The buzz-cut teammate stands behind a nervous Zhou Jiaha, who lets out a tense groan as the atmosphere shifts. Sharp whip sounding accompanies Wee Hua Jin as he effortlessly executes a rapid movement, leaving afterimages of himself in the room. The manager stands completely frozen, surrounded by floating question marks of utter confusion. A sudden cheerful ta-da echoes as Wee Hua Jin finishes his pose, while the manager frantically operates his phone to hide the recording. Zhou Jiaha gasps at how it looked like 6 people were dancing, while the manager sweatily confirms that there were indeed 6. The dark-haired teammate wonders if the others will notice, while his teammate believes Nahan and Jun will be fine with it. The dark-haired teammate freezes in pure terror and shock, his face completely pale as his teammate calls out to him. The manager sweatily smiles, agreeing with Wu Lim and nervously asking the group for their thoughts on the performance. Wee Hua Jin smiles confidently, explaining that he modified the choreography to suit their standards so it will be easy to memorize. Zhou Jiaha coughs lightly, admitting the simplified version is not bad given their lack of time, and asks the dance teacher for his opinion. Zhu Jiaha grins, calling Wee Hua Jin a genius for changing the dance after seeing it once, and suggests they practice right away. The blonde teammate asks the manager to send the recording, but Soi sweatily confesses he pressed the wrong button and deleted it. The teammates stand in silent, awkward disbelief as they try to remember the rough outline of the choreography. The teammates sheepishly admit they only remember their own specific parts, leaving them at a total loss. When asked to guide them through the choreography, Wee Hua Jin bluntly criticizes their slow learning skills, but agrees to lead them. The manager announces a 10-minute transition to the practice room, suggesting they take a short break in the meantime. The buzz-cut teammate heads to the vending machine with another teammate, while Wee Hua Jin and Zhou Jiaha stand in the background. Zhu Jiaha walks up to Wee Hua Jin with a nervous smile, while the manager watches them. Wee Hua Jin turns his gaze back, looking at Zhou Jiaha with a calm, analytical expression. Zhu Jiaha gives Wee Hua Jin 2 thumbs up, excitedly praising his dancing skills and asking how he is so good. The manager sighs happily, imagining the audience's reaction, but admitting he cannot replicate that mid-air jump. Zhu Jiaha hesitates slightly, stepping closer to Wee Hua Jin to ask him a question. Zhou Jiaha confesses with a nervous smile that he is the worst dancer in the group and worries about falling behind. Zhu Jiaha shyly asks Wee Hua Jin if he would mind taking a look at his dance moves. Wee Hua Jin chuckles to himself about a master grabbing his collar, leaving Zhu Jiaha completely bewildered by the mention of a master. With a double step sounding, Wee Hua Jin steps forward, readily agreeing to help the eager pink-haired vocalist. Wee Hua Jin instructs him to watch closely, prompting Zhou Jiaha to notice that the moves seem slightly different. Wee Hua Jin confirms that he is demonstrating the movements in much greater detail this time. A soft floating sound echoes as a heavy dark energy swirls around Wee Hua Jin, causing Zhou Jiaha's eyes to glow crimson in sheer awe. A heavy pressure settles over the room, leaving Zhou Jiaha paralyzed by an intense, overwhelming sensation. The immense energy flows seamlessly, shifting the room's atmosphere with an elegant yet terrifying force. Gentle rustling sounds as the swirling energy wraps around Zhou Jiaha, completely drawing him into the performance. Sensing the dangerous surge of energy, the manager screams a terrified warning to stop immediately. The panicked manager lunges forward, desperately grabbing a dazed Jo Jaha by the shoulders to save him. Jo Jaha gasps for air in a daze, slowly recovering from the overwhelming spiritual pressure that just filled the room. The sandy-haired manager anxiously asks the staggering pink-haired vocalist if he is okay, noting the director's arrival. Wee Hwa Jin coldly demands why the director suddenly appeared to disturb him while the manager helps the pink-haired vocalist. The smiling director asks in amusement if he is really considered a disturbance. A heavy thud sounds as the director explains he brought back what Wee Hwa Jin was looking for. A quick swish sounds as Wee Hwa Jin happily recognizes the device flying toward him. Wee Hwa Jin grins in satisfaction, praising the director for his incredibly fast work. The director addresses the black-haired man as Mr. Chanma, glancing sideways at the broken mirror. The sandy-haired manager gently asks the exhausted vocalist if he is satisfied now. The manager looks back in confusion as Wee Hwa Jin firmly rejects that notion. Wee Hwa Jin playfully explains that he was only showing a bit of charm for a moment. Wee Hwa Jin lets out a quiet chuckle, a confident, chilling smirk playing on his lips. The director smilingly notes that it would be extremely difficult to debut successfully without their main vocalist. Wee Hwa Jin agrees as he walks away, acknowledging that the pink-haired boy is the main vocalist. Wee Hwa Jin asks the manager if he knows how to use a smartphone, and so Wee answers hesitantly. Wee Hwa Jin confidently declares he will ask the manager for help, leaving So Ui speechless. The teammates enter the room in surprise, noticing that the director has arrived. The teammate bows politely, announcing their plan to perform the newly modified choreography. The director smiles warmly, readily giving his full approval to the team's plan. The director acknowledges their struggles with the sudden change, but urges them to support Chonma's debut. Wee Hwa Jin and the director exchange a knowing glance as the team prepares to practice. System notification highlights how useful this experience will be for expanding into the digital world. With glowing red eyes, Wee Hwa Jin grins confidently at his impending debut. Under the dim purple stage lights, the anxious manager checks his phone in silence. Social media post features a dark teaser silhouette teasing the arrival of a mysterious new face today. Looking at his phone, the manager sighs as the fans' online reactions are highly negative. Loud stage announcements introduce the group as martial art heroes ready to perform. Sweat dripping down his face, the manager desperately hopes the team will perform well. A close-up captures a black martial arts boot taking a firm first step onto the stage. The group gathers under bright stage spotlights wearing striking traditional red and black robes. Standing back to back, the members prepare themselves in the center of the illuminated stage. A sharp whack sounds as Wee Hwa Jin executes a breathtaking jump while opening his fan. Wee Hwa Jin reflects that their unique, high-energy performance is truly unrivaled on this stage. The team moves in perfect coordination as the music calls out for an end to masters. The teammates perform their martial arts dance choreography, their movements precise and powerful. Jo Jaha sings passionately, declaring his mind is as steady as a diamond. Screaming fans hold up marriage proposals as the lyrics reflect on overcoming constant belittling. Wee Hwa Jin gazes with piercing red eyes, the song describing a struggle without grandeur. Bold red text asserts that they feel absolutely no shame in their dramatic performance. Wee Hwa Jin's crimson eyes gleam with intense focus from behind his folded fan. The manager watches in awe as the song urges them to keep going without fear. The buzz-cut teammate sings into his headset mic, questioning dreams of turning into a dragon. Another teammate performs aggressively, shouting out the demanding lyrics of the song. The dramatic lyrics promise to clean up the martial arts world through chaotic energy. Holding his fan closed, the teammate grins and sings that they will find out soon. The group raises their fists together under the blinding lights for their final stance. Read faster? The pink-haired vocalist looks up in surprise as the crowd erupts into deafening cheers. A soft puff sounds as the exhausted manager clutches his chest, relieved the performance exceeded. The manager smiles at positive online feedback, glad their risky choreography change paid off. While the manager reflects on Cheonma's successful debut, Wee Hwa Jin suddenly calls out to him. Wee Hwa Jin lies casually on the floor, lazily tapping his glowing blue smartphone screen. The sandy-haired manager smiles to himself, thinking that Wee Hwa Jin has become completely addicted to his smartphone. Sitting in his chair, the manager reflects on the Demon Master's successful debut, calling out to Cherry. Wee Hwa Jin lies on the floor, instructing his phone to search for Demon Master fan content. The manager smiles awkwardly as Cherry asks to repeat, while Wee Hwa Jin clicks his tongue. The manager asks if he will only look at his phone, but Wee Hwa Jin replies that he was told to search for people's reactions. The manager warns that watching reactions all day might not be good, but Wee Hwa Jin remains engrossed. Leaning in, the manager gasps softly as he realizes what Wee Hwa Jin is actually watching. The manager grimaces in deep concern as Wee Hwa Jin wonders what will happen if Cherry cannot find it. The manager urges Wee Hwa Jin to prepare for their upcoming schedule and learn modern knowledge instead. Wee Hwa Jin complains about the noise, calling the manager a nagging old-timer. The startled manager demands to know where he learned that word, while Wee Hwa Jin asks Cherry what to call a nagger. A heavy thud sounding accompanies the manager's despair as Cherry defines an old-timer, prompting Wee Hwa Jin to ask for an example. A sudden sharp slap sounding punctuates Cherry's answer identifying him, leaving the manager frozen in shock. The manager yells in disbelief, questioning if the assistant is really AI, while Wee Hwa Jin smugly agrees. The sandy-haired manager grimaces in deep frustration, struggling to contain his irritation. The manager worries that Wee Hwa Jin's rapid smartphone learning could cause a massive broadcast disaster. While the manager despairs over how to fix this, Wee Hwa Jin mutters about wanting malatong. The manager suddenly tells the demon master to go outside for a bit, surprising him. Wee Hwa Jin flatly refuses to go outside, looking up at the smiling manager. The smiling manager proudly holds up a credit card, promising to show him something special. Wee Hwa Jin's eyes sparkle with immediate curiosity and interest at the sight of the card. The two walk together as Wee Hwa Jin searches for food, though the manager warned against eating malatang. The manager smiles warmly, assuring Wee Hwa Jin that he will be pleasantly surprised by the food. The manager suddenly stops in his tracks, his face turning pale with absolute shock. The manager confronts a mysterious figure clad in a dark hoodie standing in the corridor. The hooded figure stands silently, their face completely obscured by the deep shadow of the hood. The hooded figure speaks, greeting the manager by name after a long time. The manager stares in absolute shock and anger, immediately recognizing the voice of the hooded figure. The young man pulls back his hood, revealing his dark-haired appearance and tired expression. Shin-tae stares ahead with a hollow, emotionless gaze, his face pale and weary. A brief flashback introduces Shin-tae as a former member who withdrew from their group. The narration explains that Shin-tae believed he was bullied by the other group members. The record reveals that the boy actually sowed discord by spreading false information online. Sweating profusely, the manager wonders in panic why Shin-tae has suddenly appeared here. The manager questions why the boy is acting familiar, while Wee Hwa Jin casually enjoys his soy meat. The two stand in a tense silence, exchanging cold glances in the empty corridor. The manager fumes with visible irritation as Shin-tae quietly asks if Jaha is doing well. The manager coldly remarks that Jaha struggled deeply after Shin-tae abandoned the team. Shin-tae asks why as the scene briefly shifts to Wee Hwa Jin enjoying his meal. The angry manager accuses Shin-tae of attacking Jaha and lying about being bullied. The manager warns him that fans will suspect him anyway because they always argued. The manager demands to know why he is lying, explaining that Jaha still blames himself. Shin-tae insists their relationship is none of Jaha's business because they are close. Shin-tae firmly declares that he has never lied, narrowing his eyes at the manager. Shin-tae reacts in surprise, questioning the manager's sudden and unexpected accusation. The manager asks him directly if he was really bullied by one of the members. Shin-tae stands in a long, heavy silence, refusing to answer the manager's direct question. Shin-tae breaks the silence, softly stating that the manager is truly a good person. He explains that despite being angry, the manager always cared more about them than himself. Shin-tae confesses that this deep care is the exact reason why he came to him. A sudden rustle sounding accompanies Shin-tae sliding his hand into his pocket, asking the manager if he knew he was here. The manager reacts in shock as Shin-tae reveals a social media post showing them eating together, asking when it was taken. The manager panics upon learning the demon master uploaded the photo, desperately checking when it was posted. Staring intently, Shin-tae questions the manager directly about whether he truly believes the company's director. The manager stands stunned as Shin-tae asks if he has heard about members leaving the group. A sudden hesitation stalls the manager as he hesitantly questions why he should know about their departure. Shin-tae steps closer, firmly telling the manager that he absolutely needs to know about this. Shin-tae warns the manager that knowing this information is his only way to survive. A hidden presence mutters from behind the dark door, not expecting to appear in this manner. The corridor remains quiet as the speaker warns that the director's choosing time is dangerously short. Shin-tae looks on with a hollow, pleading gaze, desperately begging the manager to leave with him. The manager grits his teeth, furiously asking if Shin-tae has become completely weak. Shin-tae admits he did not expect immediate belief, but maintains his serious stance. A sudden swipe sounding cuts through the air as the manager prepares to use physical force. The manager suddenly pauses, sweating as he realizes the dangerous implications of using force. A tense close-up shows a hand clenching tightly, preparing to strike or grab. A sudden spike bubble screams of danger, raising the tension in the hallway to a peak. Wee Hwa Jin suddenly blocks the physical clash, intercepting the attack while the manager cowers in fear. The manager shields his face in absolute shock, startled by the sudden intervention. Shin-tae reacts in complete surprise, stunned by the unexpected block. Smug and smiling, Wee Hwa Jin casually questions what is happening right in front of him. Shin-tae stands frozen in shock, unable to process the newcomer's sudden presence. Wee Hwa Jin continues to smirk confidently, enjoying the dramatic interruption. A heavy huff sounding echoes as Wee Hwa Jin unleashes a powerful glowing sphere of blue energy. A loud double crash sounding startles the manager, making him yell out in absolute panic. A soft pat-pat sounding accompanies Wee Hwa Jin dusting his hands, leaving the manager sweating. Wee Hwa Jin smirks as the manager frantically asks if he just killed the boy, dismissing the concern. A groaning ha sounding escapes Shin-tae as Wee Hwa Jin casually asks who the guy is. The manager sighs, explaining that the boy is a former Jongnam sect member who left. Wee Hua Jin tisk-sounding kicks him, questioning why a Jongnam member would bully someone so helpless. Shin Tai weakly looks up, recognizing Wee Hua Jin as the heavenly demon who debuted yesterday. Smirking smugly, Wee Hua Jin boasts that the incredible power of a music show is truly amazing. A swift whoosh-sounding echoes as Wee Hua Jin turns away, declaring that it is already far too late. The manager's eyes widen in absolute surprise as someone suddenly calls out to him. Shin Tai confesses that he only came to cause trouble and vent his anger against the company. Shin Tai begs the manager to explain things to the CEO and pretend nothing happened, leaving the manager bewildered. A sudden halt sounding stops the manager as he notices the sudden arrival of two newcomers. A sharp whip sounding echoes as two silent martial artists suddenly appear behind the slumped Shin Tai. Shin Tai glances back in confusion, questioning what they are planning to do to him. The girl with the high ponytail glares down with an icy, menacing expression. The two silent figures firmly grab Shin Tai's arms to drag him away while the manager watches. Shin Tai offers a quiet, defeated apology to the manager as he is led away. Wee Hua Jin steps protectively in front of the manager, watching the group's departure. Wee Hua Jin looks on with a cold, serious glare, his expression completely unreadable. Quiet glances are exchanged as the group walks away, leaving the manager muttering in concern. Wee Hua Jin calls out, asking if they want his autograph since he practiced hard. The manager tells him to read the room, but Wee Hua Jin insists on giving his first fans a souvenir. A sharp whoosh sounding echoes as Wee Hua Jin instantly vanishes, leaving the manager utterly stunned. The manager screams in frustration, blaming Wee Hua Jin's reckless speech for driving everyone away. A playful shake sounding highlights Wee Hua Jin's mock gratitude, though the manager sulkily apologizes. A sudden turn sounding catches the sandy-haired manager as Wee Hua Jin remarks that the food has gone cold. The manager recalls Shin Tae-il's strange warnings, remembering how the former member questioned his trust in the CEO. The manager ponders how the former members could possibly know each other since they left the group long before Shin Tae-il even joined. A sudden camera click sounding rings out as Wee Hua Jin confidently takes a selfie with his smartphone. The manager yells in frustration, demanding Wee Hua Jin hand over his phone because social media is strictly prohibited. Wee Hua Jin casually claims ignorance about social media, but the manager retorts that he already saw all the posted photos. Wee Hua Jin defends his posting habits, but the manager frantically demands he hand over the phone. The scene shifts to a towering modern apartment building gleaming under the bright, warm sunshine. Wee Hua Jin learns they will be living in the building, which previously served as their group's main dormitory. Wee Hua Jin comments on the director's massive wealth for renting an 18-story building for them. The manager explains that they will only be occupying a single area on the 7th floor of the building. A sudden ding sounding echoes as Wee Hua Jin calls the director stingy, while the manager admits he expected a penthouse. Upon entering the dormitory, the manager notes that another group member, Nam Gong-jun, is still using the room. The manager kindly offers to unpack the luggage himself while Wee Hua Jin comfortably relaxes on the living room sofa. Wee Hua Jin remains completely engrossed in a video about Malatung while the manager works tirelessly in the background. The manager sighs in regret, thinking he should have confiscated Wee Hua Jin's phone to prevent more distractions. Opening the bedroom door, the manager is greeted by the sight of an old wooden bunk bed. The manager wonders why the bunk bed hasn't been removed yet despite the company's promise to renovate the apartment. The manager stands silently at the door, surveying the rest of the semi-renovated bedroom space. A wave of deep exhaustion washes over the manager's pale face as he stares blankly into the room. A sudden dash sounding accompanies the manager rushing off while Wee Hua Jin continues watching his loud food videos. A sudden bang sounding echoes as the manager throws open another bedroom door with an alarmed expression. Inside the second bedroom, the manager finds yet another set of wooden bunk beds left untouched. A soft sigh sounding escapes the manager as his face fills with disbelief over the outdated bedroom setups. A digital lock beep-beep sounding breaks the quiet as the manager calculates their room arrangements for 3 people. Soft creak sounding follows the manager opening the door, still deeply confused by the excessive number of beds. The manager is suddenly greeted by 3 brightly smiling and cheering boys standing right in front of him. The manager looks on in sheer disbelief as the pink-haired boy happily explains they are filming a show here. The pink-haired boy joyfully shouts a surprise greeting, completely catching the weary manager off guard. The manager sweats in deep panic as the pink-haired boy keeps bubbling on about their unexpected reality show. The manager feels a cold dread as he wonders about the strange circumstances surrounding this sudden reality show. The manager realizes that recording cameras will be installed everywhere except for the private bedrooms. Sudden thud-thud-thud sounding echoes as the pink-haired boy runs to the bunk beds, leaving others surprised. The manager finds the CEO's sudden decision highly suspicious, while a member fondly reminisces about the old days. Wee Hua Jin grumbles in deep irritation from the sofa, complaining that the CEO completely tricked him. Wee Hua Jin furiously yells about being forced to live in such a cramped and small apartment. The pink-haired boy tries to reassure him it is only temporary, but Wee Hua Jin firmly refuses. One of the members asks to borrow shoulder pads and his teammate casually agrees to lend them. A member complains about the completely empty refrigerator, prompting the manager to share his room password for supplies. A soft sob-sounding echoes as a member dramatically cries that their teammate Nahan has stopped moving. The manager sighs in frustration, directing the members to choose their beds instead of unpacking low. The chaotic members cry out for help deciding their sleeping spots and suggest playing games instead. The Chibi CEO's son proudly declares his plan to let So Iui handle the troublesome heavenly demon. The scene transitions back to the tall apartment building standing silently under the bright, clear sky. Wee Hwa Jin quietly sits as stylist prepares hair for his first official solo schedule. The manager stands watch in the dressing room as Wee Hwa Jin prepares for his first idol interview. The manager reads the CEO's direct request to put the heavenly demon through a challenging interview show. The stylist happily announces they are finished, gesturing proudly toward the freshly styled Wee Hwa Jin. The stylist marvels at Wee Hwa Jin's naturally handsome appearance, declaring her job was incredibly easy. The manager notes Wee Hwa Jin looks like a true idol and asks if he read his interview cheat sheet. Wee Hwa Jin flatly refuses to cooperate while his manager anxiously tries to calm him down. Wee Hwa Jin explains he researched internet comments to prepare, leaving his manager thoroughly confused. Wee Hwa Jin chides his manager's informal tone while the manager redirects them to a preliminary stop. Wee Hwa Jin accuses his companion of ignoring him, eliciting a swift and nervous apology. A vibrant red subway advertisement paid for by fans features a striking photo of Wee Hwa Jin. The manager prepares his camera as the pair approaches the subway station platform together. Excited fans scream in delight as they immediately recognize the heavenly demon in public. The manager explains the fan-made ad and requests Wee Hwa Jin pose for a photo. Wee Hwa Jin confidently struts toward the crowd with a sudden quick step sounding. Wee Hwa Jin turns to face the crowd with an impossibly handsome sparkling expression. Wee Hwa Jin gazes upon his own giant subway billboard basking in the spotlight. The manager raises his professional camera to capture the moment, pausing in thought. The manager panics, yelling for Wee Hwa Jin to get down from his dramatic pose with a wave sounding. An excited fan enthusiastically declares her admiration, receiving a smug acknowledgement from Wee Hwa Jin. Wee Hwa Jin offers his autograph, which the starstruck fan happily accepts. The manager monitors the fans' emotional reactions as a high-pitched ah-sounding echoes. Wee Hwa Jin readily prepares his pen to sign autographs for the crowd. Wee Hwa Jin promises a spectacular next performance as an excited ka-ka sounding fills the air. The manager commends Wee Hwa Jin's natural fan service, though Wee Hwa Jin takes mild offense. The manager confirms that Wee Hwa Jin is surprisingly well-suited to the idol life. Wee Hwa Jin smirks as he admits that being an idol is actually quite enjoyable. The manager gazes ahead with a silent, contemplative look of subtle concern. The manager remains completely silent, deeply lost in his own complicated thoughts. The scene shifts to the CEO's office, where he diligently works at his desk. The CEO is momentarily interrupted from his work by a sharp ring sounding. Il-jeom enters the office to speak with the CEO. The CEO welcomes Il-jeom warmly and invites him into the spacious office. The CEO inquires about the move, and Il-jeom credits another member for its success. Il-jeom hands over a tablet device with a quick, sharp whip sounding. The CEO smiles in delight as he praises Il-jeom's hard work. The CEO highlights a specific loyalty point regarding the group's operations. The CEO notes how perceptive and cooperative a certain member proves to be. A silent fleeting thought about Nahan crosses the speaker's mind. Il-jeom questions the CEO's odd request to retrieve another member's shoulder pads. The CEO brings up the recent restaurant outing between the two group members. The CEO points out a distinctive gold button that fell off during that dinner. Jeom recognizes the shirt, prompting the CEO to praise his sharp memory. The CEO investigates the restaurant incident to uncover details that were kept secret. The CEO jokingly laments his methods, which Il-jeom politely excuses as necessary. The CEO encourages Il-jeom for tomorrow's shoot with a soft pat sounding. Il-jeom politely takes his leave, leaving the office to head back. The CEO watches him depart with a pleasant, calm smile. The CEO's smile turns dark and sinister with a soft, repeated tap sounding. MC Nam Gung-ryo smoothly conducts the television interview program for the group. The show highlights Nahan as a quiet, introverted member adored by fans. The scene shifts to the live recording studio where Wee Hwa Jin's interview begins. The manager watches closely from the audience, confident in his nearby supervision. Wee Hwa Jin looks deeply confused as an off-screen hand suddenly pokes his ear. The manager panics inwardly, questioning if Wee Hwa Jin prepared with a quiet grumble sounding. The TV host continues speaking cheerfully to keep the broadcast lively. The manager nods with a sweating smile, trying to comfort himself by placing his trust in the host's reputation. The director calls to begin filming, noting that the host is highly skilled and close to their company representative. Nam Gung-ryo cheerfully opens the show, introducing himself as the energetic host of their new segment. Wee Hwa Jin introduces himself completely flatly as a ghost, immediately creating an incredibly tense and awkward atmosphere. The manager clutches his head in absolute despair at Wee Hwa Jin's coldness while the director praises it as devilishly chic. Nam Gung-ryo points out Wee Hwa Jin's red eyes, and Wee Hwa Jin explains it comes from practicing magic for a century. Nam Gung-ryo questions his age based on his resume, prompting Wee Hwa Jin to quickly correct his statement. The manager rationalizes that a century-old being wouldn't have modern manners, hoping Wee Hwa-jin is adapting well to Korea. Namgung Ryo steers the interview back on track, asking Wee Hwa-jin how he is adjusting to Korea. Wee Hwa-jin calmly replies that Korea is actually a very comfortable and pleasant country to live in. Wee Hwa-jin compares Korea to his homeland, explaining that normal people cannot safely leave their homes after sunset. The manager looks thoroughly confused as Wee Hwa-jin goes on to praise Korea's fast internet, delivery, and webtoon release speeds. Wee Hwa-jin expresses deep admiration for Korea's resilient music culture, causing his manager to look on in sudden suspicion. Wee Hwa-jin casually gestures with a finger heart, leaving his manager to wonder if he learned this from YouTube. The studio staff and manager watch in complete stunned silence as Wee Hwa-jin effortlessly performs the fan service. Namgung Ryo laughs awkwardly, attempting to smooth over the bizarre historical references by commenting on Wee Hwa-jin's unique interests. Namgung Ryo explains the group's 8-year history, noting they originally debuted with 10 members but now only have 6. Wee Hwa-jin asks with genuine confusion if the 4 former members of the group are dead. Namgung Ryo sweat drops and frantically clarifies that the former members were simply kicked out for violating group rules. Namgung Ryo excuses Wee Hwa-jin's ignorance as a new member, while Wee Hwa-jin thoughtfully contemplates the rules. Wee Hwa-jin harshly criticizes the former members, calling them cowards who are utterly unworthy of their group. Wee Hwa-jin adds that an ex-member was kicked out for indecent relationships, leaving Namgung Ryo completely frozen in shock. The manager yells out to ask who Wee Hwa-jin is talking about, frantically making a cut gesture to the camera. Wee Hwa-jin casually names the former member Shin Tae, revealing that they recently met in person. The manager despairs as Wee Hwa-jin casually requests that everyone in the room keep this meeting a complete secret. Wee Hwa-jin points directly toward the camera, reminding the entire filming crew that they must also keep the secret. In a separate room, the black-haired member is asked if he keeps in touch with the departed members of the group. The black-haired member explains he prefers focusing on the remaining members, prompting the manager to ask the others for their thoughts. The short-haired teammate admits he hasn't thought about it, while the pink-haired boy notes it is awkward to initiate contact. The manager feels a sudden pang of guilt, privately wondering if the former member left the group because of him. Pink-haired boy gently shifts the question to the manager, asking how Shin Tae is doing and if he is all right. With a soft sob sounding, the manager sweats nervously as he tries to find the right words to describe the bizarre situation. Wee Hwa-jin chimed in from the couch, casually announcing that he has also met Shin Tae recently. The pink-haired boy turns back toward Wee Hwa-jin to ask what his overall impression of Shin Tae was. Wee Hwa-jin smugly declares that the former member is actually his fan, which the pink-haired boy finds amusing. The short-haired teammate sighs that it was his mistake to ask, while Wee Hwa-jin points out the real issues lie with the former member's faction. The room goes completely quiet as Wee Hwa-jin calmly reveals that the former members once tried to strangle the manager. The manager desperately sweat drops, pleading with Wee Hwa-jin to keep his mouth shut and stop sharing dangerous details. The short-haired member shockingly asks So-hee if this is true, while the manager frantically tries to deny the claim. Jeom pulls out his phone to call the representative, while the manager desperately tries to stop him, insisting nothing happened. Il-jeom firmly states that this violent incident cannot be ignored, demanding to know why the manager hid it from them. Jeom argues that they should have reported the assault, while the manager helplessly tries to calm him down. Il-jeom continues angrily, asserting that their group's current image wouldn't be this pathetic if the assault had been properly reported. With a sudden energetic shake sounding, the members grab the manager, agreeing that he should have shared this with them sooner. The manager panics internally, wondering how he can explain to the representative that his own group members are the suspicious ones. A loud ding-dong sounding interrupts their argument as the manager realizes their visitor has already arrived. The manager steps out into the hallway to greet the visitor, leaving his chaotic group members behind. The manager stands in silent contemplation, his mind drifting back to the strange origins of their group. A transition reveals how the members were selected and assigned roles simply due to having names found in martial arts novels. Memories recall how half of the members suddenly abandoned the group without leaving behind any warning signs. The manager watches Il-jeom silently, a heavy unspoken tension lingering in the quiet hallway. Determined to find the truth, Na-han realizes he can no longer ignore the mystery. Shrouded in darkness, the smiling CEO remains an enigmatic figure, harboring dangerous secrets. He questions what hidden agenda the company's representative is keeping secret from them all. Narration reveals that mysterious individuals once traveled between South Korea and the ancient Central Plains. These ancient travelers belonged to a powerful group known as the Nine Sects One Alliance. After an arduous legendary battle, the Alliance finally succeeded in capturing the fearsome heavenly demon. Bound in heavy chains, the captured heavenly demon sneers with defiant, glowing red eyes. This monumental capture is heralded as the spark that will usher in a brand new era. The pink-haired boy notes the praise, while Na-han asks if they are just praising his pecs. Na-han stares blankly, momentarily lost in his own thoughts after the playful comment. The manager ponders the situation, realizing Wee Hua Jin actually met with their former member Shin Tae-il. The CEO orders the manager to stay with the Heavenly Demon while he arranges to meet Tae-il separately. Il-jiam protests the decision, while Na-han directly asks the CEO if he knows anything about the departed members. The CEO dismisses the question entirely, wondering why he would even need to know about them. Na-han finds it incredibly strange how completely unbothered the CEO is by the situation. While Na-han suspects the CEO is hiding something, the pink-haired boy asks the Heavenly Demon if he speaks Japanese. The pink-haired boy notes that the Heavenly Demon just read a foreign comment, prompting Na-han to ask what it said. Wee Hua Jin translates that the comment found his sentence-ending meows incredibly cute. When asked about another comment, Na-han translates that fans want them to visit California. The pink-haired boy wonders if foreign language skills are an isekai privilege, while Na-han scolds Wee Hua Jin for hiding it, leading to a suggestion to read foreign comments on their next live broadcast. The excited pink-haired boy agrees and eagerly asks Na-han to film the live broadcast. Na-han agrees to film in the living room, but is shocked when the pink-haired boy insists on doing it immediately. Na-han instructs everyone to change into comfortable clothes, and Wee Hua Jin casually agrees. Na-han dryly remarks that Wee Hua Jin isn't exactly normal himself as he walks away. Na-han remains silent while Wee Hua Jin contemplates the connection between himself and the CEO. Wee Hua Jin recalls his past, admitting that his current life actually feels quite good. Na-han suspects he is plotting something strange, but Wee Hua Jin tells him to get ready. Na-han panics in shock as Wee Hua Jin suddenly begins stripping right before they go live. Wee Hua Jin smugly explains that he is undressing because his fans, the Beggars, love his chest. Handy Note clarifies that Beggars is the official nickname for their group's fan club. Wee Hua Jin dares Na-han to quickly finish his nagging, seeing the pure exasperation on his face. Na-han forcefully shoves a shirt onto Wee Hua Jin to save him from fan judgment. Na-han prepares to start the camera as the group members assemble in their casual outfits. Na-han strictly commands the group to completely ignore any live chat comments regarding the banished members. Na-han tells Wee Hua Jin to stay quiet, prompting him to question the purpose of broadcasting. Na-han reassures Wee Hua Jin that his spectacular visuals alone are more than enough for the broadcast. Na-han starts the stream as Il-jiam enthusiastically greets their viewers on the live broadcast. The entire group performs their signature martial arts salute to kick off the live stream. The pink-haired boy calls out Wee Hua Jin for refusing to do the group salute. Wee Hua Jin flatly refuses to repeat the greeting, stubborn as ever in his ways. Wee Hua Jin dramatically claims that the camera would shatter from his immense power if he spoke. Il-jiam smoothly engages the fans, explaining the stream is celebrating their show's first episode release. The pink-haired boy shares how exhausting it was climbing a mountain in China for the opening. The pink-haired boy eagerly reveals that the grand mansion in their video belongs to Jun's family. Jun scratches his head in embarrassment as fans identify it as the legendary Namgung clan mansion. Jun tries to deny it, but his teammate blunt-facedly exposes that it is actually the CEO's house. Behind the camera, Na-han gasps in absolute shock at this startling new piece of information. The members on the live feed notice Na-han's sudden silence and ask him what's wrong. The short-haired member remains quiet, realizing the slip-up might have deeper consequences than they thought. Looking out, Wee Hua Jin mutters that the mysterious guy has returned once again. Wee Hua Jin decides to step out for a while, leaving Na-han completely bewildered by the sudden announcement. The manager is startled with a quick yikes as Wee Hua Jin demands that they go together. The manager watches in sheer horror as Wee Hua Jin leaps off the balcony with Na-han. With a sudden loud scream sounding, the panicked members frantically yell to end the live broadcast immediately. Falling through the air, Na-han panics in utter confusion, questioning why this is happening. Na-han frantically screams at Wee Hua Jin to be careful and come down immediately. The long-haired man firmly commands his panicking companion to stay put during their dangerous descent. Wee Hua Jin calmly prepares to land, while Na-han frantically questions where they are going. Back on the ground, the manager and another teammate run forward in hot pursuit of the duo. Na-han desperately calls out for help as Wee Hua Jin carries him away into the darkness. Landing with a soft thud sounding, Wee Hua Jin safely touches down on the rooftop. Na-han angrily lectures Wee Hua Jin about the massive consequences of messing up during a live broadcast. Na-han admits with frustration that he simply cannot ignore the bizarre situation unfolding around them. Emerging from the shadows, three mysterious individuals stand waiting for them on the dark rooftop. Na-han is deeply frustrated, unable to ignore the strange and pressing circumstances before him. Na-han gasps in recognition as he realizes the mysterious figure is their former member Shin Tae-il. Na-han directly demands to know why they have returned and what they want from them. Shin Tae-il questions if Na-han is causing a scene to confront him about the recent interview comments. The duo stands firm on the windy rooftop, facing their former teammate in silence. Wee Hwa-jin smugly challenges Shin Tae-yul, asking what will happen if that is indeed the case. Na-han demands to know what exactly Shin Tae-il has been trying to tell him recently. Shin Tae-ul reminds Na-han of his earlier question regarding whether he truly trusts their company's CEO. The long-haired man listens quietly as the dark truth about the CEO's cult operations is revealed. Na-han stands completely frozen in shock, utterly unable to comprehend the startling revelation about their CEO. With a swift whoosh sounding, Na-han turns his head in absolute disbelief toward Wee Hwa-jin. Wee Hwa-jin remains quiet, staring ahead calmly as the heavy silence stretches between them. Na-han asks Wee Hwa-jin with a trembling voice why he chose to keep this a secret. The echoing question of whether the CEO can be trusted lingers ominously in Na-han's mind. Shin Tae-il warns Na-han that learning the truth about the departed members is essential for his survival. Na-han previously dismissed the warning, questioning if he really needed to know such dangerous secrets. Shin Tae-ul begins to explain the price of summoning just as a door creaks open behind them. The CEO casually steps onto the roof, announcing his plans to fire the building's security staff. The smiling CEO greets Shin Tae-il, Ami, and Jongnam, expressing disappointment in the building's poor security. Jongnam angrily demands to know how the CEO dares to appear before them so fearlessly. With heavy footsteps sounding, the CEO slowly approaches the tense group standing on the dark rooftop. The CEO mockingly asks the furious group if he has any reason to feel afraid of him. The CEO dares them to kill him, while Shin Tae-il desperately holds back his enraged companion. The CEO condescendingly questions why Shin Tae-ul keeps interfering with the people under his control. The smiling CEO points directly to the door, calmly telling the unwanted visitors to please leave. The CEO advises them to skip these dangerous antics next time and come directly to him instead. Han quietly calls out to his manager, deeply concerned by the escalating tension. Shin Tae-ul bids them farewell as he leads his companions back into the dark building. With a heavy slam sounding, the rooftop door shuts, leaving the remaining three in silence. The smiling CEO gently asks the manager if he is doing all right after the tense encounter. The CEO apologizes to Na-han for running into Shin Tae-ul again, which Na-han quickly dismisses. Na-han suddenly asks the CEO how he managed to find them at this exact location. Na-han suddenly remembers the live stream, frantically realizing that the entire confrontation was broadcast live. Na-han panics about airing the footage, but the smiling CEO reassures him that they will edit it well. The CEO cheerfully suggests they head downstairs, ending their dramatic rooftop confrontation on a light note. The dark-haired man in a black suit walks toward an exit door enveloped in dark smoke. The blonde manager stands alone under the dark night sky, looking incredibly tired and worn out. Staring downward in deep silence, the blonde manager remains completely lost in his heavy thoughts. An online meme captures the short-haired teammate reacting in absolute disbelief during their live stream broadcast. The next frame of the meme shows the short-haired teammate dramatically screaming as if about to faint. Clutching his phone, the short-haired teammate complains about almost fainting from their dangerous balcony stunt. Raising his hand dismissively, Wee Hwa-jin tells his nagging teammates to stop annoying him. Wee Hwa-jin brushes off the complaints, prompting the pink-haired boy to demand more direct answers. The manager recalls the shocking claim that their company's CEO summoned the heavenly demon to this world. The manager silently questions if Shin Tae-ul's warning about the CEO's dark operations is actually true. The manager recalls how strangely calm the CEO was when the heavenly demon was first brought to him. Looking at his teammates, he wonders how the CEO could have possibly orchestrated the summoning. He ponders how this summoning ritual connects to the mysterious departure of their former group members. Plagued by immense guilt, the manager deeply regrets not asking about the well-being of the departed members. A dark-haired teammate notices the manager's pale complexion and asks if he is doing all right. The manager claims he just has a headache and walks away to rest, leaving his teammate behind. The pink-haired boy and Wee Hwa-jin watch the manager walk away, utterly stunned by his distress. The pink-haired boy notes that he has never seen their manager look so deeply distressed before. Wee Hwa-jin questions if the pink-haired boy pulled the live stream stunt without consulting the manager first. The pink-haired boy admits the manager is unwell and suggests that they should go apologize to him. Wee Hwa-jin tells the pink-haired boy to wait while he personally goes to check on the manager. Wee Hwa-jin walks into the quiet room and gently calls out to the distressed manager. Placing a hand on his shoulder, Wee Hwa-jin informs the manager that the others are worried. Hiding his face in his hands, the manager quietly addresses Wee Hwa-jin by his true title. Wee Hwa-jin looks at the manager seriously and asks why he wanted to become an idol. Staring intently, Wee Hwa-jin repeats his serious question about the manager's true motivations for his job. Wee Hwa-jin keeps his gaze locked on the manager, waiting patiently for a genuine explanation. The manager turns slightly, explaining that his job is simply something that must be done. Wee Hwa-jin directly asks what that means and demands to know his relationship with the CEO. Turning around with a startled look, the manager tries to deny knowing what he is talking about. Wei Hua-jin explains that Shin Tae-il claimed the CEO was the one who summoned him here. When Wei Hua-jin asks if the manager is truly ignorant of this, the manager quietly confirms he is. Wei Hua-jin narrows his eyes as he recalls his past life as the powerful heavenly demon. Wei Hua-jin explains that he simply woke up one day in the middle of this modern city. The manager is shocked to learn this, but Wei Hua-jin turns the suspicion back onto him. The blonde manager stares back in silence, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and shock. Wei Hua-jin looms over the manager, questioning his reaction to the revelation about the CEO. Wei Hua-jin points out that the manager should have reacted with anger or disbelief to the news. Wei Hua-jin confronts him for reacting with quiet distress instead, demanding to know his link to the CEO. The manager finds himself completely frozen in fear as Wei Hua-jin asks why he feels so guilty. Wei Hua-jin stares with glowing red eyes, stating that one suspicious CEO is more than enough. The manager feels suspended in a dark, swirling void, completely paralyzed by the sheer pressure of the interrogation. Wei Hua-jin demands the truth while the manager's mind races, feeling forced to confess his secrets. Realizing his guard is completely down, the manager finally prepares to speak and reveal the truth. The manager confesses that he was originally a member of the rival 961 Alliance. Sweating profusely, the manager admits that his lingering guilt stems entirely from his past with the group. A flashback reveals the manager was recruited by the CEO, allowing him to leave before the tragedy occurred. He realizes that if he had debuted with the group, he would have shared their terrible fate. He envisions suffering the unspeakable horrors and being cruelly kicked out of the group like the others. He pictures himself being quietly forgotten by the world, a dark fate he barely managed to escape. With a tight squeeze sounding, the manager grips the armrest, consumed by intense guilt. Wei Hua-jin reacts with mild disbelief as the manager's confession ends. Standing over the sitting manager, Wei Hua-jin questions why his minor confession caused such immense guilt. The blonde manager defends his perspective, explaining his narrow escape from the group's dark fate. Wei Hua-jin reacts in a cartoon style, jokingly asking if the manager assisted in any crimes. Shocked by the absurd accusation, the blonde manager frantically shouts a denial to Wei Hua-jin. Wei Hua-jin stares back in flat disbelief, wondering why the manager is so distressed. The manager tearfully complains that Wei Hua-jin's baseline for normal behavior is far too high. Wei Hua-jin sits on the bed and calmly asks why the manager failed to debut. Nervously scratching his head, the manager admits he simply lacked any talent for singing and dancing. Wei Hua-jin listens as the manager explains his initial plan to leave the entertainment agency. Looking back at Wei Hua-jin, the manager reveals his 8-year history of working behind the scenes. Touchingly thoughtful, the blonde manager reflects on sharing a personal history he had never revealed before. Wei Hua-jin finds the story strangely heartwarming yet ultimately quite boring. Lying back on the bed, Wei Hua-jin admits he initially planned to use the manager for information. The blonde manager sits quietly as Wei Hua-jin contemplates his next moves regarding the CEO. The manager contemplates whether the CEO has the power to send the heavenly demon back home. Looking at Wei Hua-jin, the manager notes his apparent plan to return to his original world. The manager warns that the group's fans will be deeply disappointed by his sudden departure. Lying relaxed, Wei Hua-jin reassures the manager that he has no immediate plans of returning. The manager is surprised to hear this, noting the naturally short career span of idols. Wei Hua-jin asks if the manager truly believes he would abandon his teammates. The manager suggests directly asking the CEO if he was the one behind the summoning. The manager immediately dismisses his own suggestion, realizing it would be far too dangerous. Wei Hua-jin listens intently, resting his chin on his hand in quiet contemplation. Wei Hua-jin lazily notes that the CEO has always been completely unhinged. The manager blinks in confusion, asking Wei Hua-jin to clarify his strange remark. Wei Hua-jin asks how much the manager understands about the title of the heavenly demon. The manager jokingly labels him as a supreme fictional being or a fake cult leader. Wei Hua-jin sits cross-legged on the bed, firmly declaring that he is a true god. Wei Hua-jin explains that summoning a god normally costs a mortal's life. Chilling memory of the dark-haired CEO surrounded by red smoke flashes through his mind. A system-like narrative bubble notes the extreme risks the CEO took to summon him. The sinister image of the smiling CEO surrounded by heavy smoke lingers in the air. CEO's confident smiling face looms over the dark, uncertain revelation. Sitting on the bed, Wei Hua-jin asks the manager what the CEO could possibly want. Wei Hua-jin asserts that the CEO's ultimate desire must transcend a simple idol debut. The manager realizes that if the CEO summoned him, he will prevent his return. Wei Hua-jin decides when he will temporarily play along with whatever the CEO is planning. Wei Hua-jin asks if his long days of watching videos were just a disguise. The duo sits in awkward, cartoonish silence as the ridiculousness of the situation sinks in. Manager quietly doubts that Wee Hua Jin's lazy behavior was actually a calculated strategy. Wee Hua Jin questions if the manager understands his reasons for sharing these secrets. The manager wonders if Wee Hua Jin is seeking his help to return home. Sitting across from each other in the quiet bedroom, Wee Hua Jin confirms his suspicion. With a tight squeeze sounding, the manager grips his chair, agreeing to help under one condition. The manager states that he has a non-negotiable request in exchange for his help. Wee Hua Jin listens intently, curious to hear the manager's sudden counterproposal. The manager firmly demands to know the exact fate of the former group members. Wee Hua Jin smirks with glowing red eyes, amused by the manager's lingering sense of guilt. The blonde manager looks back towards the door in silent contemplation. He reminisces about his past efforts managing the former teammates before their sudden departure. Wee Hua Jin coldly advises the manager to stay out of the departed member's business. The manager firmly insists on his responsibility as an adult to uncover the truth. A voice questions what the manager plans to do once he learns the truth. The manager sits back in his chair with a look of quiet, serious determination. He solemnly declares his readiness to take action if it becomes necessary. A firm vow of taking full responsibility resonates through the quiet room. Wee Hua Jin stands in silence, carefully measuring the manager's genuine resolve. The manager identifies the girl with Shin Tael as Yu Amy. Wee Hua Jin deduces her sect origin, remembering her as a loud, energetic person. Warm flashback shows her bright, lively personality before she disappeared. The manager compares her old personality to a loud sect, which Wee Hua Jin confirms. They both realize that the once lively girl has inexplicably lost her voice. Wee Hua Jin suddenly stands up, indicating he has fully understood the situation. As Wee Hua Jin walks away, the manager questions what he has deduced. The blonde manager is left staring in utter confusion at his teammate's sudden departure. Wee Hua Jin turns back at the door with a confident, mischievous smirk. Scene transitions to the exterior of a sunny modern office skyscraper. The focus shifts to a quiet hallway outside a glass-walled conference room. Wee Hua Jin abruptly announces his ambitious plan to release a new album. His sudden announcement surprises everyone gathered around the large conference table. The CEO laughs sweatily, clearly startled by the sudden ambitious request. The pink-haired boy enthusiastically agrees, raising his hand in support of the album. The pink-haired boy eagerly asks for the CEO's approval, which is readily granted. The manager surprises the group by revealing secret progress on potential new songs. The pink-haired boy is thrilled, while his dark-haired teammate behind him looks incredibly uneasy. His teammate reacts with extreme dread, anticipating overwhelming responses from their fans. The manager is left thoroughly baffled by his teammate's intense, fearful reaction. The CEO inquires if Wee Hua Jin has a specific concept in mind for the album. Wee Hua Jin bluntly demands a highly profitable concept surrounded by cute animal graphics. The CEO responds with a sweat drop, perplexed by the simple demand for commercial success. Wee Hua Jin asks who is most popular, prompting a dramatic reaction from his teammate. The pink-haired teammate objects before sheepishly wondering if he is indeed the most popular. He proudly points out that Nahan is actually the most popular member among them. Wee Hua Jin immediately decides to use Big Nahan's concept for the album. A teammate asks Nathan to clarify the details of his unique concept. Nahan enters a serene, meditative state surrounded by a radiant golden Buddhist aura. His hands form a traditional mudra, radiating spiritual peace and tranquility. Wee Hua Jin cartoonishly explains chanting scriptures, leaving his teammate completely incredulous. Voice desperately calls for Nahan to speak up and defend himself. Nahan calmly recites a Buddhist prayer, shocking his frantic teammate. The pink-haired teammate is left dazed and confused by the mention of a decadent concept. CEO politely raises concerns about lacking a song suitable for such a concept. Wee Hua Jin nonchalantly dismisses the CEO's concerns regarding the lack of a song. A bold announcement declares that Wee Shbi Jin will write the new song himself. The entire meeting room is left frozen in absolute jaw-dropping shock. Wee Hua Jin remains perfectly calm, completely unfazed by their stunned reactions. A grim warning highlights the CEO's highly perceptive and cunning nature. The manager warns Wee Hua Jin that the CEO will stop at nothing if their plans are exposed. Pointing at his phone, the blonde manager notes they must act like a proper idol group. The blonde manager explains their strategy of using a new song to deliver a secret message. He sits alone at his desk, silently organizing his thoughts amidst the growing pressure. His notebook is filled with pressing questions about the CEO and the missing teammates as his headaches. With a heavy sigh, the exhausted blonde manager leans back in his desk chair to rest. He remembers the CEO's ominous parting words, wondering if the man is suspicious of him. Looking away, the blonde manager realizes it is currently impossible to trace any further clues. A sudden twanging string sound echoes as the black-haired man plays a traditional lute. He continues plucking the instrument with absolute calm, completely absorbed in his peaceful melody. The blonde manager stares blankly, finding the surreal scene before him completely hard to believe. The blonde manager admits he never expected the legendary heavenly demon to compose music. The blonde manager praises the dark tune, noting it fits their concept and matches their best work. Wee Hua Jin smiles confidently, pleased by the positive feedback on his musical creation. Wei Hua-jin smugly questions why the manager ever doubted his divine artistic capabilities. The blonde manager sits in silence, unsure of how to respond to the smug question. Confused by the sudden shift in conversation, the blonde manager blinks in utter bewilderment. The blonde manager silently ponders what other secrets might be hidden behind the melody. A sudden realization strikes the blonde manager as he stares intently at the ancient lute. The blonde manager hesitantly asks if the composition originates from the legendary Central Plains. Wei Hua-jin explains the demonic cult dedicated the song to him, shocking the manager. The manager panics at the thought of releasing a demonic cult song on an idol album. Wei Hua-jin boasts that his cult's music is perfect for the addictive nature of idols. Sweating nervously, the blonde manager deeply questions if taking this path is truly safe. The manager absurdly contemplates the bizarre legal copyright logistics of ancient Central Plains cult music. Wei Hua-jin bluntly dismisses the manager's worries as a waste of useless thoughts. Wei Hua-jin furiously warns that the manager's soft morality will lead to a pitiful end. Cutting the argument short, Wei Hua-jin demands the manager focus on writing the lyrics. The blonde manager scratches his head in frustration, struggling to begin writing the lyrics. An unexpected voice suddenly calls out to the blonde manager, interrupting his deep concentration. Both men turn their attention toward the bedroom door, startled by the sudden interruption. Wei Hua-jin angrily yells at the intruders to go to bed and leave them alone. As the door slowly creaks open, a friendly voice asks if they are hungry. The dark-haired teammate sheepishly peeks through the cracked door, offering a late-night snack. He kindly reiterates his offer to prepare a warm midnight snack for the duo. Intrigued by the sudden offer, the blonde manager asks what they plan to eat. The teammates peer into the room, eagerly asking if they can prepare some ramen. Wei Hua-jin is utterly baffled by the word ramen, while the manager worries about schedules. The manager happily agrees to eat, while Wei Hua-jin continues questioning what ramen is. The teammate looks back, asking if their other companions want to join them for ramen. The teammates politely decline, citing concerns about their appearance bloating before their activities. Wei Hua-jin mockingly compares their rejection to the Manhwa sect backing down from a challenge. Wei Hua-jin compares cup ramen to a rare elixir, while a teammate asks about lyrics. The blonde manager proudly offers to share his progress, eliciting an enthusiastic response. The dark-haired teammate jokingly offers to demonstrate his internal chi while pouring the hot water. With a sudden battle cry, he dramatically pours the boiling water into the cup noodle. Looking closely at the phone, the pink-haired teammate is stunned to find actual scriptures. The pink-haired teammate eagerly praises the lyrics, expressing his love for the song's unique vibe. Wei Hua-jin watches the dramatic pouring demonstration with a fixture of boredom and judgment. The manager nervously keeps the real reason behind his producing role secret from his teammates. The pink-haired teammate enthusiastically proposes choreographing the song with a traditional wooden temple bach. The black-haired teammate says he has something in mind, while another voice asks what it is. The smiling blonde manager points his finger up and suggests performing a traditional sword dance. The scene transitions to a dimly lit stage decorated with hanging red banners. A sudden agonizing scream echoes through the stage, causing the blonde manager to look back in shock. The blonde manager asks what is wrong as a frantic teammate calls out for So Mi-hyung. The panicked teammate desperately warns that Zhao Jaha's condition has suddenly become extremely strange. The blonde manager frantically asks if he is sick, and the teammate urges him to see for himself. A mysterious man in a blue suit stands silently observing the empty red-draped stage. The man in the suit wears a chilling, knowing smile in the dim room. A soft, eerie chuckle breaks the silence in the empty stage area. Smiling deviously, the man wonders what kind of stage is being hidden so carefully from them. With a sudden, echoing crash, the blonde manager and his teammate burst through the dressing room door. Inside the dressing room, the staff stares in silent concern at a distressed boy sitting alone. Quick, frantic footsteps patter as the teammate runs ahead, shouting Zhao Jaha's name in distress. Zhao Jaha shields his face and screams in panic, warning everyone to stay away from him. The blonde manager is left completely speechless, staring at his teammate in utter shock. Zhao Jaha cowers in fear, revealing that his right eye has turned to glowing crimson. He looks at his trembling hands, completely terrified by the unexplained transformation of his eye. Haeguk tries to calm Zhao Jaha down, but Jaha frantically commands him to stay away. The surrounding staff begins whispering in confusion, leaving the blonde manager deeply troubled by the scene. Taeguk is instructed to take the staff outside so they can talk to Jaha privately. Taeguk quickly agrees and ushers the remaining staff members out of the dressing room. With a soft click, the door closes and a trembling Zhao Jaha quietly calls out to his manager. Zhao Jaha desperately explains that his hair was dyed red this morning for the album's concept. Zhao Jaha wonders if it is a disease, remembering his recent variety show in the jungle. The manager points out that no known disease can suddenly change someone's hair color like this. Zhao Jaha asks what else could cause this, panicking that the disease has already progressed to his eye. Terribly frightened, Zhao Jaha desperately begs the manager to contact the hospital immediately. The manager asks about the stage, while Zhao Jaha despairs over performing in this bizarre condition. The blonde manager calmly assures Zhao Jaha that he might have an idea about what is happening. Zhao Jaha looks up with wide, hopeful eyes, eagerly asking what the manager has deduced. The blonde manager remains silent, deeply contemplating the unsettling truth behind the mysterious transformation. The blonde manager slowly utters the name of Wei Hua-jin, pointing toward the true source. Wei Hua-jin looks back with his crimson eyes, utterly surprised by the sudden accusation. The manager explains that the alliance leader and fake monk were betting on who would yield first. Zhu Jaha panics, wondering if he is hallucinating since the door was never even opened for anyone. The blonde manager turns back to Wei Hua-jin, repeating that Zhou Jaha's condition is highly unusual. Wei Hua-jin raises an eyebrow as the manager asks if he knows anything about this situation. Leaning in close, the blonde manager notes that one of Zhou Jaha's eyes is turned crimson. The manager directly compares the boy's glowing red eye to Wei Hua-jin's own distinct eyes. Wei Hua-jin asks if it is just a contact lens, but the manager firmly replies that he is not joking. The grinning CEO stands by a shattered window, ominously asking if they are displeased with Jaha. A memory of another teammate kneeling in pain resurfaces, addressing Wei Hua-jin as the heavenly demon. The blonde manager grimly reflects that debuting without Zhou Jaha would be nearly impossible. The manager admits he didn't suspect anything back then, but now questions if Wei Hua-jin tried to harm Jaha. Standing nose to nose, the blonde manager directly asks Wei Hua-jin if his dark suspicions are wrong. Wei Hua-jin stares back in stony silence, his crimson eyes narrowing as the tension peaks. The blonde manager suddenly blinks, realizing something crucial from Wei Hua-jin's silent reaction. Looking thoughtful, Wei Hua-jin mutters that he finally understands the true nature of the situation. Zhu Jaha pats his cheeks, dumbfounded as Wei Hua-jin bluntly declares that the Manhwa sect guy has no talent. Wei Hua-jin notes how stiff and sloppy their teammates' basic techniques are, leaving the blonde manager utterly bewildered. Wei Hua-jin proudly boasts that he generously taught the boy demonic martial arts techniques. Zhu Jaha stands with glowing crimson eyes, completely enveloped in an eerie, dark demonic aura. The blonde manager reacts in cartoonish shock as Wei Hua-jin claims he only taught him a tiny bit. Wei Hua-jin mutters that his teaching shouldn't have harmed the boy, finding the sudden change highly puzzling. The blonde manager gasps in sheer horror and disbelief over the terrifying revelation. The blonde manager demands a clear explanation, urgently asking who originally composed their concept song. A sudden realization strikes the blonde manager, leaving him completely breathless with shock. When the manager asks if the boys have been practicing demonic arts all along, Wei Hua-jin simply confirms it. The blonde manager wonders why only Zhou Jaha transformed since the entire group practiced together. A hand gestures toward Zhou Jaha, who stands looking completely surprised and bewildered. Wei Hua-jin argues that his personal teachings yield far greater results, while the panicked manager asks if he foresaw this. Looking completely unbothered, Wei Hua-jin casually admits he completely forgot about teaching him demonic martial arts. Struck by utter disbelief, the blonde manager stands completely frozen and cartoonishly drained of life. The manager frantically laments that Jaha has been turned into a demonic cultist while the boy tries to speak. Zhu Jaha cheerfully notes that despite his confusion, this means he is not actually suffering from a disease. The blonde manager hesitantly calls out to Jaha while the boy happily declares everything is fine. Zhou Jaha scratches his head, sheepishly wondering how their fans will react to his new black hair. The blonde manager stares in silent worry, hesitantly asking if Jaha is truly comfortable with his appearance. Wei Hua-jin praises the black hair as perfect for their concept, drawing an exasperated sigh from the manager. Zhu Jaha eagerly asks Wei Hua-jin if the style suits him, and the dark-haired leader confirms it. Relieved and happy, Zhou Jaha brightly thanks his groupmates for successfully solving his worrying dilemma. Zhu Jaha happily waves as he promises to quickly apologize to Taeguk and the waiting staff. A sudden clatter sounds as Zhu Jaha excitedly dashes out, reminding Wei Hua-jin to prepare for the stage. Wei Hua-jin coldly tells the manager to stop making a fuss out of something that is not a problem. The blonde manager remains highly skeptical, demanding to know the specific demonic martial art taught to Jaha. Wei Hua-jin smugly explains he created the demonic violet mist divine art just to tease a rival swordmaster. The manager is utterly dumbfounded by the name, noting it is just a sex technique with demonic added. The manager asks for clarification, and Wei Hua-jin explains even beginners can make plum blossoms bloom everywhere. Wei Hua-jin stares back in silence, wearing a highly skeptical and completely blank expression. Blonde manager laughs hysterically, completely pushed to the brink of absolute madness and despair. Exhausted by the sheer absurdity of the situation, the manager stands completely alone in the silent hallway. A sudden voice praises the blonde manager, calling him Mr. Soi for his hard work on the stage. The smiling CEO stands at the balcony, eagerly observing the grand arena stage down below. The manager greets the CEO, who happily explains that the heavenly demon personally invited him to watch the showcase. The CEO praises the provocative song title and eagerly asks the nervous manager what the performance is about. With a sudden whoosh, the manager sweating nervously answers that the show is finally about to begin. Under an eerie red glow, 5 dark silhouettes stand positioned on the stage's towering metal scaffolds. A sudden resonant thud echoes through the dark room, prompting the CEO to curiously ask about the instrument. As the rhythmic tapping continues, the manager agrees that using a wooden fish is an incredibly unique idea. The screen displays the sacred opening Buddhist chant, signaling the official start of the group's performance. Singing with immense intensity, the teammate dramatically points forward as he delivers the first provocative lyric. Wearing his headset, Jo Jaha gazes intensely forward, showcasing his striking, single glowing crimson eye. The glowing red text card displays the next line of lyrics, questioning why someone stands in that place. An ominous crimson screen flashes the haunting lyric, warning the audience that it is already far too late. The dark stage silhouettes move dramatically as the intense performance reaches its next exciting phase. A hooded teammate looks down solemnly as the screen displays lyrics describing cold eyes and trembling hands. Under a brilliant red spotlight, a handsome performer dramatically raises a gleaming silver sword high. Surrounded by beautiful blooming red flowers, the lyric cart describes gripping a sword and smiling for their sake. The grand showcase reaches its thrilling climax as the screens declare them the public enemy of Maram. A smiling executive stands above Wee Hwa Jin as a crimson card displays a sacred chant. A crimson card translates the chant while a cap-wearing girl watches with a serious expression. Below another crimson card, the blonde manager details the requirements of a public enemy. A crimson translation card starkly declares the second part of the chant against a black void. Raising a finger, the manager questions Yuami's ability to communicate with Shin Tae-ul. Massive black stage scaffold stands silently against a deep, ominous crimson-colored sky. A hand firmly grips a gleaming silver sword, raising it against a swirling crimson background. Standing before a plum blossom scroll, Wee Hwa Jin asks if their fear summoned him. A dark leather shoe steps heavily onto a spreading pool of black, ink-like shadow energy. A text bubble raises a crucial query about whether the chief executive summoned the heavenly demon. Bathed in red light, the blonde manager turns in surprise as someone calls out to him. The blonde manager looks around anxiously as a mysterious voice warns him to flee immediately. A crimson card transitionally announces the menacing presence of the public enemy of Morium among them. With glowing red eyes, the grinning executive remarks on the intense killing intent in the air. Wee Hwa Jin waves to flashing cameras as he steps away from a black van. Holding a forged passport, the blonde manager marvels at the absolute perfection of the fake identification. The blonde manager and Wee Hwa Jin walk side by side down a brightly lit modern hallway. The manager confirms the executive's involvement, and Wee Hwa Jin agrees with his assessment. Boarding the plane, Wee Hwa Jin notes that the executive's reaction was far more intense than expected. As Wee Hwa Jin sits down, the blonde manager asks him why he thinks that occurred. Wee Hwa Jin remarks they must hear what their Gangnam sect rival has to say. The blonde manager gazes downward in deep, silent contemplation as the cabin hums around them. Wee Hwa Jin questions whether Shin Tae-ul will actually make an appearance for this meeting. The manager doubts their rival watched the showcase, while Wee Hwa Jin says he worries too much. The blonde manager quietly reflects on the awkwardness of watching a group one recently left. A speech bubble points out that witnessing such a performance is far from a pleasant experience. The manager's hands clasp tightly in his lap, revealing his anxiety about the upcoming encounter. Wee Hwa Jin remains silent, his crimson eyes scanning the cabin as he processes the manager's words. The manager reacts with shock and offense when Wee Hwa Jin asks if he is describing himself. Wee Hwa Jin notes that the manager once aimed to debut as an idol like their rival. Wee Hwa Jin firmly states that his own past situation is completely different from Shin Tae-ul's. Speech bubble explains the speaker abandoned the idol path before a debut could occur. As a flight attendant passes, a bubble notes Shin Tae-ul actually debuted and worked with them. Wee Hwa Jin casually concedes, dryly accepting the manager's explanation of the differences between their pasts. Wee Hwa Jin reassures the manager that there is no reason to worry about their rival. Wee Hwa Jin smirks, predicting their target will appear if he has lost something, puzzling the manager. A teammate suddenly pops up from the seat behind them, brightly calling to the heavenly demon. Wee Hwa Jin looks up in mild irritation, flatly asking the teammate what he wants. The teammate gestures upward, proudly declaring his intention to lift the massive aircraft into the sky. The blonde manager laughs off the claim, declaring only someone of his high caliber could lift it. While the flight attendant requests passengers sit, Wee Hwa Jin dismisses the teammate's basic skill level. With a light chuckle, the teammate turns back, telling them they will soon see his skills. Wee Hwa Jin scowls at his companion, muttering in irritation about the boy's endless, annoying bluffing. An announcement echoes through the clear blue skies as the airplane glides smoothly through the clouds. The passengers sit securely buckled into their spacious first-class seats as the long flight gets underway. A quiet silence settles over the cabin as the manager makes a call beside Wee Hwa Jin. Wee Hwa Jin sweats nervously, questioning why the flying machine has not plummeted to the earth yet. The manager flatly explains that planes are designed to fly, while Wee Hwa Jin's shock mounts. Wee Hwa Jin frantically argues even flying beasts need rest, accusing the plane of being under a spell. Sighing deeply, the manager prepares to explain basic modern aerodynamics to the bewildered ancient warrior. The blonde manager stands sweating and completely speechless, raising his finger in mild protest. Wee Hua Jin outlines a ridiculous theory that planes fly by binding experts together through air-based spells, leaving the manager utterly dumbfounded. Scene shifts to a quiet, empty modern airport terminal with vacant blue seats. Ju Jaha waves cheerfully to a crowd of screaming fans at the bustling airport. The teammates walk through the airport terminal, posing cutely for the adoring, shouting fans. The blonde manager watches in alarm as Jo Jaha continues to produce floating paddles. Jo Jaha cheerfully invites the manager to watch their showcase, while the manager furiously scolds him for showing up with his current demonic appearance. Wee Hua Jin calmly points out that as long as the fans are happy, his appearance does not matter. The blonde manager warns of a massive public uproar if the fans discover their real powers, but Jaha dismisses his fears. Jo Jaha reassures them that fans will assume everything is fake, citing the video of the heavenly demon jumping off a balcony. The blonde manager watches in silent worry as Jo Jaha happily declares his love for his new superpowers despite not being able to dye his hair. Ju Jaha asks if his new abilities are from the demonic arts he learned, wondering if he should call Wee Hua Jin his master. Wee Hua Jin flatly states he has never had a fool as a disciple, though Jaha continues to playfully address him as master. The blonde manager glances at his unbothered, relaxed teammates in the back seat, silently wondering if they are worried at all. The manager notes that Taeguk was initially terrified when Jaha's hair changed color, yet now he remains completely silent. The manager wonders if this silence is a blessing, while Wee Hua Jin announces there are strict conditions for serving him as master. Jaha questions the mastership conditions, and Wee Hua Jin demands that he first perform the traditional 9-bow ritual. As Jaha wonders what the 9-bow ritual is, Wee Hua Jin adds that he must also cook him cup ramen every single night. Jaha complains and asks why he cannot prepare his own ramen, but Wee Hua Jin interrupts to state his third condition. Wee Hua Jin dramatically demands that Jaha hand over his ultimate selfie-taking skills as the final secret sect technique. Wee Hua Jin strikes a sparkling, highly flattering pose as he takes a test selfie. Wee Hua Jin eagerly displays his selfie to the blonde manager, loudly demanding to know his opinion of the shot. The manager bluntly demands a retake after seeing Wee Hua Jin's hilariously unflattering close-up double chin photo. The manager urges Wee Hua Jin to learn selfie skills from Jaha, but the proud leader refuses, calling the idea ridiculous. Wee Hua Jin flatly refuses to learn from Jaha, who cheekily suggests that Wee Hua Jin should bow to him instead. The blonde manager questions why Wee Hua Jin insists on taking so many photocard selfies when they already have enough to open a store. A cheerful voice suddenly interrupts, asking if the master has called for someone named Cherry. The blonde manager smiles warmly, preparing to greet the visitor who just spoke to them. An angry, disembodied shout instantly rejects the visitor, declaring that nobody had called for them. A sparkling photocard shows a handsome blonde idol winking and making a cute hand gesture. Wee Hua Jin immediately searches online for selfie tips after learning that photocard selfies are distributed randomly in albums. Wee Hua Jin bossily urges the manager to hurry up, explaining the difference between album and pre-order bonus photocards. The blonde manager groans in deep frustration as Wee Hua Jin continues his relentless selfie photo shoot at the table. Wee Hua Jin suddenly stops with a sharp, serious look as he senses an ominous presence. The blonde manager turns around, sensing that some visitor is indeed approaching their traditional room. The blonde manager wonders if the approaching figure is Shin Tae-il, while a mysterious silhouette appears in a purple fog. The manager suspects that the visitor is the Wudang sect member who is expected to make contact during the trip. Wee Hua Jin remains calm, predicting that the expected visitor will be knocking on their door very soon. A voice from outside the sliding paper doors identifies himself as Taeguk, seeking So-ui. Wee Hua Jin casually raises a finger and tells Taeguk that the door is open and he should come in. Taeguk peeks through the sliding door, noting with a nervous smile that the heavenly demon is present in the room. The manager explains that he was helping the leader with selfies before asking Taeguk what he needs to discuss. The manager prepares for serious news as Taeguk says he needs to discuss something about a group member. Taeguk delivers a startling revelation to the manager, warning him that their teammate Nam Gong-jun is acting very strange. The blonde manager is taken aback, immediately wondering if Nam Gong-jun's hair color changed just like Jaha's did. Taeguk clarifies that Nam Gong-jun's hair did not change, but his behavior is extremely odd. The manager turns to listen as Taeguk explains that Nam Gong-jun does not feel like his true self. Taeguk asks for clarification, explaining that it feels like the teammate has suddenly become an entirely different person. Taeguk recalls feeling a deep, unshakable sense of unease around the teammate for quite some time now. Taeguk brings up a specific past event to highlight the strange changes in Nam Gong-jun. Taeguk remembers Nam Gong-jun bragging about his perfect physique during their trainee days. Taeguk explains that Jaha, Nam Gong-jun, and he recently visited the hot springs together. The three young teammates walked together in matching gray robes after their bath. Taeguk reveals he saw a massive, jagged scar across Nam Gong-jun's back. So-ui is astonished by the news, as Nam Gong-jun never had any scars before. Taeguk points out the scar looked extremely old, despite Nam Gong-jun never having injuries since debut. A tense, nervous gulp escapes So-ui as he begins to connect the dots. The horrifying realization sets in that an imposter is currently posing as Nam Gong-jun. Dark silhouette hints at the mysterious identity of the person pretending to be their teammate. Taeguk solemnly confirms the disturbing findings to the manager and the silent heavenly demon. Soi urgently asks Taeguk if he has reported this bizarre situation to the CEO. Taeguk admits he chose to keep it secret from the CEO for now. Wee Hua Jin remains silent, his sharp crimson eyes narrowing as he processes the information. A heavy, tense silence fills the room as Soi rests his hand on the table. Taeguk expresses his relief and gratitude after Soi promises to investigate the matter privately. Soi dismisses Taeguk to go rest, but the younger boy pauses to offer some advice. Taeguk highly recommends visiting the hot springs while Wee Hua Jin listens with curiosity. The manager is suddenly startled as he remembers their Gangnam rival is waiting there. The pair quickly stride down the hallway to meet their rival at the hot springs. Soi silently reflects on Taeguk's behavior, feeling a growing sense of suspicion. Soi recalls Taeguk previously claiming he had no contact with former members of the group. Soi realizes Taeguk's casual mention of Tail completely contradicts his earlier claims of isolation. The group's unity is fracturing with unexplained physical transformations, secret schemes, and hidden identities. Stealing his resolve, the manager decides they must deal with Shin Tae-il first. Parting the blue curtain, Soi is completely taken aback by what lies inside. Shin Tae-il relaxes in the steaming hot spring with a towel wrapped around his head. Soi is immediately dumbfounded by Taeil's absurd sheep ear headwear in the bath. Soi loudly questions his strange fashion choice, but Taeil calmly defends his hot spring attire. Glistening water highlights Taeil's incredibly toned, muscular torso as he sits in the spring. Taeil voices his lingering distrust of them, leaving a sweat-dropping Soi feeling deeply misunderstood. Wee Hua Jin casually suggests delaying their talk, causing Soi to freak out in frustration. Taeil explains he initially approached them to prevent the CEO from summoning the heavenly demon. Since the summoning succeeded, Taeil explains his objective has shifted to a new target. Taeil reveals his ultimate goal is to exact absolute revenge on the corrupt CEO. Soi stares in stunned silence, overwhelmed by the depth of Taeil's determination. Taeil intensely asks if they plan to stand in the way of his revenge. Wee Hua Jin coldly states he has absolutely no interest in their feud with the CEO. Soi explains to Taeil that Wee Hua Jin primarily wants to find a way back home. Taeil turns to Wee Hua Jin, questioning if he truly intends to return to their world. Wee Hua Jin confirms his desire to return and demands Taeil share what he knows. Taeil reveals that the members of the 9-6-1 alliance share a common trait. Taeil notes that Soi is already aware of this connection regarding their names. Taeil explains that their real names are all linked to traditional martial arts sects. Taeil recalls the CEO offering massive contract money with only one strict condition. The CEO's singular condition was that they must never neglect their daily training. Taeil notes their trainee life seemed perfectly normal at first. However, years of continuous training began to trigger bizarre supernatural changes in their bodies. Soi's shocked, though Taeil notes they initially just felt much healthier. Soi questions why being healthy was a problem, and Taeil agrees it seemed positive initially. Taeil reveals the horror began when he realized he could easily survive a car crash. Taeil explains that he can easily survive falls, jump higher, and run faster than average. Wee Hua Jin stands silently as Taeil compares their supernatural abilities to real martial artists. Terrified, Soi grabs Wee Hua Jin and desperately begs everyone to wait a moment. Sweating profusely, Soi demands to know how such martial arts feats are possible outside the Central Plains. Wee Hua Jin explains that their group's routine is actually a genuine cultivation technique. Silhouettes reveal that their choreography builds authentic internal energy inside their bodies. Taeil admits he still does not understand how the CEO discovered this cultivation method. Soi frantically questions if all the members' bodies have actually become like those of true martial artists. Soi asks if the heavenly demon would have instantly noticed their trained internal energy. Wee Hua Jin proudly declares that such basic, simple moves are immediately obvious to him. The shocking realization leaves the blonde manager completely dumbfounded and sweating. As Soi panics, Wee Hua Jin silently evaluates the alliance leader's title as the best sword. Taeil notes that Taeguk, Nahan, and Jaha all possess immense internal energy linked to traditional sects. Stressed, Soi wonders how many martial artists exist and suggests confronting the CEO directly. Taeil chuckles at the suggestion and asks if Soi recalls his final live broadcast. Soi gasps as he remembers Taeil mentioning a former group member who bullied him. Taeil explains that the alleged bully was a complete stranger sent by the CEO. Soi and Wee Hua Jin listen intently as Taeil mentions the CEO's trusted subordinate. Taeil reveals he previously attempted to solve this mystery using direct force. Taeil explains that a mysterious masked master stopped him during every single attempt. Soi ponders how the CEO obtains such powerful protection without any known internal energy himself. Taeil confirms that the mask protector behaves exactly like an assassin from a novel. Soe asks if the assassin wears a dark outfit with a smiling white mask. Tail looks ahead grimly as a sinister masked silhouette looms directly behind him. Sensing danger, Tail suddenly leaps up in absolute panic and screams. A black-gloved hand suddenly reaches out and tightly grabs Tail's throat. The masked assassin in a black robe drops down, pinning Tail to the stone edge. Tail struggles as the assassin continues to choke him at the hot springs. Standing nearby, Wee Jin calmly raises his fingers to prepare a technique. Wee Jin smiles with glowing crimson eyes, mocking the assassin for acting up before him. The masked intruder maintains a firm grip on Tail's throat. Soe frantically begs the heavenly demon not to kill the intruder, who sighs in response. The heavenly demon demands they unmask the attacker first to reveal their identity. The smiling white mask of the assassin glints ominously in the dark. A massive explosive geyser of water suddenly erupts from the hot spring, blinding everyone. Shielding Soe, Tail explains that the water block is meant to counter their vision. Soe asks if the water surge is part of the void manipulation technique. Wee Jin narrows his eyes, calling the opponent a master of petty tricks. Wee Jin confidently asserts that such minor tricks will never work on him. The white smiling mask floats momentarily amidst the rushing illuminated water. Looking up, Soe and Tail realize the mask is floating empty in the spray. Wee Jin suddenly blocks a barrage of daggers as a painful grunt escapes him. Wee Jin shifts his gaze upward, tracking the enemy's next sudden move. The masked assassin leaps gracefully through the falling water to launch an attack. Laughing mockingly, Wee Jin easily deflects the diving strike with a powerful gesture. Wee Jin maintains a stern, focused expression as the battle intensifies. With a thunderous impact, Wee Jin slams the assassin deep into the hot spring. Wee Jin stands calmly on the water as his companions cheer him on. Wee Jin suddenly glances down at his hand, feeling something strange. Wee Jin delivers a shocking warning that the attacker is actively absorbing his demonic power. Wee Jin realizes the CEO strategically summoned him to this world for a specific purpose. The masked assassin stumbles and bows down weakly in the hot spring pool before them. The assassin's smiling white mask stares back blankly, concealing any hint of their identity. Soe frantically urges the heavenly demon to capture the attacker, who responds with mild curiosity. Quick tap sounds as the masked assassin raises a sharp blade, preparing to fight back. The assassin holds the dagger firmly in hand as Wee Jin stands calmly opposite. Soe wonders if the attacker is their teammate, but Wee Jin says capturing him is impossible. Soe looks completely bewildered and loudly asks why capturing the assailant is impossible. Wee Jin expresses his annoyance, vowing to kill the assassin if they cross paths again. Wee Jin adds that killing the attacker now would disrupt their current schedule. A sudden gasp escapes Soe as he reacts to the heavenly demon's casual remarks. Wee Jin proposes returning to their room immediately, though Soe questions if they are fleeing. Wee Jin explains the assassin would block them and the missing member must be him. Tail observes that even the heavenly demon wishes to avoid a confrontation right now. Looking at his hand, Wee Jin muses that fighting would play into the CEO's hands. Tail offers to stall the assassin, though Soe is confused by who will help. Tail suddenly shouts at the top of his lungs, calling for Yu-A-Mi. The light landing sound echoes as a dark-haired woman named Yu-A-Mi drops down. Soe yells that this is a men's bath, but Tail notes they are alone. Soe panics about his nudity, but Tail assures him the towel is secure. Soe frantically argues that it would be disastrous if the towel fell off. Tail remains completely unbothered, calmly insisting that he is perfectly fine. Soe mutters in disbelief at Tail's crazy attitude while Yu-A-Mi steps forward. Yu-A-Mi glares forward with determination as dark energy begins to manifest around her. A low hissing sound arises as a massive surge of cold energy erupts from the spring. Multiple sharp, glowing icicles materialize and fly forward to strike the assassin. The masked assassin leaps gracefully into the air to dodge the incoming ice blades. Soe is shocked by the ice power, and Tail explains she is extremely strong. Wee Jin urges Soe to leave now, promising to contact him again later. The scene shifts to a quiet, empty traditional room with small windows. Wee Jin asks how they will enter, and Soe reveals his backup key. Wee Jin complains about handling extra tasks, while Soe regrets not debuting solo. Soe questions the heavenly demon on why he is trying to become an idol. Soe points out that Wee Jin avoided answering this very question before. The two men stand in the quiet hallway awaiting a response to the question. Wee Jin remains silent, staring forward thoughtfully as he processes the manager's query. Soe is surprised when the concept of having fans is suddenly brought up. The narrative bubble reveals that the 9-6-1 alliance has amassed many followers. Wee Jin explains he wants to be an idol to gain more followers than them. Soe wonders if the heavenly demon's desire for followers persists in this world. Wee Jin asks if that explanation is sufficient, and Soe hesitantly agrees. Wee Jin asks about the room, and Soe identifies it as Iljim's. A sharp click sounds as Soe inserts the backup key into the door lock. Creaking noise sounds as they slowly push the door open and peek inside. The traditional room is completely silent and empty, with only wooden tables and chairs. The empty room remains entirely still, devoid of any signs of life or movement. Wei Hua-jin and So-yi confirm that the alliance leader is indeed not there. So-yi quickly closes the door, noting they shouldn't jump to conclusions just yet. Another sharp click sounds as So-yi unlocks a different door labeled Room 203. A sudden loud sliding sound echoes as So-yi pushes the next door wide open. Finding the room empty, Wei Hua-jin points inside and asks whose room it is, to which So-yi responds that it belongs to Nam-gung-jin. A sudden click sounds as a stressed So-yi frantically wonders where everyone went. The sharp click, So-yi desperately opens another door, hoping they stayed in their rooms. The dark-haired young man inside looks up from his book and calls out to So-yi. Surprised to see him, So-yi realizes both the first sword and the heavenly demon are present. The dark-haired man questions what the two of them are doing together and if they have been there. After the dark-haired man confirms he has been there, Wei Hua-jin inquires about Nahan's whereabouts. The dark-haired man explains that Nahan is currently meditating in the adjacent inner room. Inside, Nahan sits quietly cross-legged in deep meditation, completely detached from the surrounding chaos. A peaceful vase of flowers and burning incense sticks fill the quiet room with tranquil energy. Wei Hua-jin and So-yi share a silent, intensely suspicious look regarding the current situation. The dark-haired man asks if something happened, but So-yi quickly denies it to avoid raising suspicion. So-yi assures the dark-haired man he only checked on him and tells him to rest. A quick clack sounds as So-yi quietly closes the door to room 203. Walking away, So-yi murmurs that both of the men in that room are highly suspicious. So-yi notes that the presence of a window in the inner room is key. He reasons that a masked master could easily erase their presence to slip out undetected. So-yi contemplates how either of them could have easily slipped out without the other noticing. Continuing down the corridor, So-yi realizes that only Taeguk and Jaha are left as suspects. He rules out Taeguk for being an ally and Jaha for having a smaller physical build. Wei Hua-jin adds that the man from Hwasan lacks the internal power to be the assassin. Feeling overwhelmed by the mystery, So-yi clutches his head in deep frustration. Hearing a noise, So-yi turns to find Jaha standing quietly by a doorway down the hall. Spotting his manager, the cheerful Jaha smiles warmly and calls out to So-yi. So-yi asks what Jaha is holding, and Jaha happily reveals 2 cups of instant ramen. Wei Hua-jin smiles brightly, recalling the promise of daily ramen required to become his disciple. Jaha turns to So-yi, asking him to help film their upcoming live broadcast. So-yi secretly observes that watching someone as carefree as Jaha is oddly soothing. Wei Hua-jin teases Jaha, who playfully grumbles that the compliment sounds like an insult. Watching Jaha laugh, So-yi's internal doubts about him briefly resurface. So-yi continues to observe Jaha closely, wondering if his ignorance is entirely genuine. Staring at the screen, So-yi worries about the outcome of the battle at the hot springs. The ominous silhouette of the smiling masked master looms in So-yi's thoughts. The intricate gold patterns on the assassin's dark belt stand out amidst the shadows. So-yi shivers at the horrifying possibility that Jaha might actually be fully aware of everything. The terrifying thought of a deceptive, smiling facade sends chills down So-yi's spine. Shaking off his doubts, So-yi focuses on the live chat's questions about noodle preferences. Wei Hua-jin honestly replies that he has only eaten instant ramen twice in his life. The chat erupts with rumors of him being a chaebol, leaving Jaha completely shocked. Behind the camera, a sweating So-yi frantically signals for them to ignore the crazy rumors. Jaha eagerly hypes up the theory, claiming he saw Wei Hua-jin use a prestigious black card. Facing another public relations disaster, So-yi facepalms in complete despair behind the scenes. Wei Hua-jin bluntly denies the rumors, stating he has no parents to inherit wealth from. A sudden, awkward silence fills the room as the two idols stare at each other blankly. The tense silence stretches on, threatening to completely derail the entire live broadcast. Panicking, So-yi desperately gestures for them to say absolutely anything to break the silence. Terrified of the silence, Jaha hastily reads another question about a potential birthday fan meeting. Spotting the weird chat comments, Wei Hua-jin confusingly asks what guest they are referring to. Behind the camera, So-yi is left thoroughly puzzled by the mention of a fan meeting. A sudden, chilling realization hits So-yi, causing his eyes to widen in absolute shock. So-yi stares at his phone, showing the K-Touch Entertainment account with an ominous red announcement. In a quiet room, the blonde-haired manager, black-haired heavenly demon, and Jaha sit together around a table. The blonde-haired manager gazes down at his smartphone screen, his expression filled with deep concern. As his thumb hovers over the screen, he realizes the CEO is merely testing the waters with his post. He recalls the hot spring, remembering that Tail was right beside him just moments before the incident. The smiling image of the smug black-suited CEO looms in the background of So-yi's anxious thoughts. So-yi clutches his forehead, realizing that while smart people would ignore the bait, there is a catch. He worries the CEO will manipulate the media, making it seem like the former members deliberately ditched the event. Walking through the company corridor, the blonde-haired manager glances back at his companion with a somber expression. He recalls thinking the company treated the former members well, making their apparent greed seem utterly baffling. The agonizing realization of his own past misconceptions weighs heavily on the blonde-haired manager's mind. Jaha, wearing his blue yukata, hesitantly calls out to the blonde-haired manager while the heavenly demon eats ramen. Jaha asks if the former members' attendance at the fan meeting means they harbor no grudges against them. Soi remains dead silent, sweating nervously as he struggles to find a reassuring answer for Jaha. The blonde-haired manager realizes Jaha is still deeply concerned about Taeil's sudden and dramatic departure. Soft slurp echoes as Soi sadly realizes the former members will likely never show up at all. Soi suddenly snaps at the heavenly demon for greedily finishing the ramen without leaving a single bite. With a sharp click, the heavenly demon gestures toward the door, casually telling him to go see who is knocking. Hearing a sudden knocking sound, the surprised blonde-haired manager looks toward the doorway in confusion. The blonde-haired manager turns his entire body around, staring expectantly at the sliding traditional door. The door slides open to reveal Il-gyeom, Nam-gong-jun, and another member standing outside in their yukatas. Surprised, Soi immediately asks if they all gathered here because of the CEO's sudden social media announcement. Il-gyeom admits with a nervous sweat drop that the social media post was indeed the reason he came. The short-haired member points to himself, explaining he only came to retrieve Jaha after their livestream ended. Stunned, Il-gyeom asks what livestream they were doing and demands to know what the CEO posted. The room becomes lively as the members gather and chatter, while the blonde-haired manager watches them closely. Il-gyeom reveals the CEO announced the former members as special guests, prompting an alarmed shout from Jaha. Soi realizes the cruel reality that they are still bound to group events even after officially leaving. Turning his gaze, the blonde-haired manager directly asks Jun why he decided to come here tonight. Jun explains that during his walk, he noticed a section of the hot spring walls had collapsed. Jun adds that he came to check on Soi because Tae had planned to recommend the springs. While Soi quickly assures them they are perfectly fine, Jaha suddenly screams out in absolute disbelief. Jaha frantically points out that the hot spring walls were completely intact when they were there earlier. Soi silently observes Jaha, reasoning that the assassin didn't block the area because nobody else was around. The other members exchange awkward, highly suspicious glances as Jaha continues to loudly express his confusion. Looking at his trembling hand, Soi realizes a normal person would naturally react with shock, just like Jaha. Glancing back at the quiet, unbothered members, Soyu notes their lack of reaction makes them highly suspicious. With a sudden, violent crash, a smartphone is smashed onto the floor, scattering broken glass everywhere. The angry, long-haired former member gasps heavily beside Moonsail, his face darkened with pure rage. Clutching his head in agony, the long-haired man screams his murderous intent toward the bastard CEO. He tries out that he was always deeply grateful and thankful to the CEO from the beginning. He weeps that the CEO cruelly invited them to a fan meeting knowing his ruined face prevents him from appearing. A young man wearing a black track jacket stands in the doorway staring quietly at the weeping man. Moonsail steps in to defend the distressed man, warning the newcomer that his presence is uncomfortable. The angry long-haired man snaps at the youth, telling him someone with an intact face could never understand. The tracksuit-wearing youth calmly responds that he never expected him to be jealous, offering to trade places. Moonsail quickly restrains the furious long-haired man, pleading with both of them to stop fighting amongst themselves. The youth turns away, coldly stating they did not gather here to compare who suffered the worst fate. Turning back with a grim, determined look, the young man shockingly reveals his plan to attend the fan meeting. In a dark, decaying stairwell, a dark-haired woman with a ponytail supports a heavily limping man downstairs. The young man in the black tracksuit angrily warns his companion that the fan meeting is obviously a trap. The tracksuit-wearing youth insists on attending the trap alone, leaving his companion to question his reckless plan. He notes that the heavenly demon has grown surprisingly attached to their manager, Soi. He recalls how the heavenly demon consistently protected Soi even during their initial kidnapping attempt. He is certain that the heavenly demon's true loyalty lies with Soi rather than the CEO. His companion wonders why the demon chose Soyui over the CEO, which he attributes to unknown reasons. He proposes winning Soi over with the truth so they can leverage the heavenly demon's immense power. Standing in the corridor, his skeptical companion doubts whether Soi would ever cooperate with their dangerous plan. He reasons that while Soi currently has no grudge against the CEO, that could easily change. A dark premonition hangs over him, knowing that attending the fan meeting could mean his death. The group stands in tense silence as they face the youth's grim determination. He suddenly rejects his previous statement with a chillingly cold and resolute denial. He declares with absolute certainty that he must die to achieve their goals. Shifting to the fan meeting, the idols and Soi sit at a long table ready to greet fans. An idol playfully asks a muscular female fan if she has been working out, and she boasts about her lifting strength. The fan confidently offers to let the idol feel her biceps, leaving the onlookers thoroughly amused. Soi sweat drops as he realizes how incredibly bizarre this martial arts-themed fan meeting is. Fan and an idol exchange Buddhist greetings, highlighting the unique nature of their fan base. The Shaolin fan confesses he is still plagued by worldly desires, specifically wanting to see Ago. An awkward silence envelops the table as everyone absorbs the fan's unexpected confession. Saoi internally laments his own lack of training, wishing he could build more virtue. The passionate fan bows dramatically, offering a cup of instant ramen to the Heavenly Demon. The Heavenly Demon graciously accepts the cup ramen, flashing an amused, satisfied smile. Saoi despairs behind the scenes, wondering why they cannot seem to attract a single normal fan. Mysterious fan wearing a face mask and cap steps up, holding a red notebook. Soi quickly reaches out to intervene as the fan tries to hand over the notebook. Soi sternly removes a yellow post-it note, stating that custom notes are strictly forbidden. Soi holds the confiscated note, staring down the quiet fan behind the desk. Soi expects the fan to be annoyed, but casually flips the note to read it. The yellow sticky note contains a handwritten message indicating a midnight meeting at a sauna. The mysterious fan walks away, leaving a stunned Soi staring after them in silence. The tracksuit fan blends back into the crowd, keeping their identity completely hidden. A sharp, intense glare from beneath the cap reveals the fan's hidden dangerous intent. Realizing the gravity of the handwritten message, Soi crumples the note in sudden shock. Soi whispers to the Heavenly Demon, warning him not to use secret sound transmissions here. The Heavenly Demon demands that Soi hand over the suspicious post-it note immediately. In a silent display of heat and power, the note is instantly incinerated into ash. While casually accepting birthday wishes, the demon surreptitiously burns the note under the table. Soi is left utterly speechless by the demon's casual display of destructive power. He watches the mysterious tracksuit-wearing figure disappear into the back of the venue.
Soi quietly addresses the Heavenly Demon to discuss the sudden and alarming development.
Soi leans in close, whispering the details of the secret message to him. The Heavenly Demon responds with an amused smirk, intrigued by the unexpected invitation. The idol sit in a neat row on stage as the fan meeting continues. An idol confidently addresses the crowd, promising to deliver an even better performance next time. The atmosphere on stage grows slightly tense as the members exchange uneasy glances. He suddenly turns around, completely baffled by an unexpected image appearing on the screen. A moment of suspense builds as everyone's attention shifts to the massive stage screen. Jaha enthusiastically announces the next segment of the broadcast with a cheerful shout. The audience murmurs as the screen displays a live broadcast of Jaha and the others. Fans erupt in excitement as the video broadcast of the former members begins, thanking their CEO and group. The on-screen members apologize for their absence, sending their regards to the audience via the video broadcast. The broadcasted members nervously promise the crowd that they will return to the stage together soon. Jaha looks on in sheer confusion as the video call features a sudden, formal thank you to their CEO. The smiling member on screen publicly wishes Hajin a happy birthday, thanking him for giving them courage. Staff members carry a giant chocolate strawberry birthday cake onto the stage while Hwajin watches silently. Hwajin stands calmly on stage as the broadcast concludes with a warm farewell to the fans. Moved to tears, emotional fans weep and comfort one another as the sentimental broadcast ends. Hwajin stares down at the towering, elaborate birthday cake presented to him on the stage. The giant, multi-tiered chocolate cake sparkles beautifully with fresh strawberries and whipped cream toppings. With a sharp whish sound, Hwajin turns his head, scanning the massive crowd of fans. Dozens of dark, quiet silhouettes fill the rows of seats, waiting expectantly for his next move. Turns his head back with another swift rustle, focusing on a specific fan. A slow clap, clap, clap begins as the group members politely applaud the birthday celebration. Hwajin extends his hand toward the quiet audience, preparing to address them directly. Hwajin bluntly asks the audience if they offered this tribute because they want something from him. Pointing a commanding finger directly into the audience, Hwajin demands a specific fan to speak up. The chosen fan raises her hand as a staff member hands her a black microphone. The fan nervously suggests health, prompting Hwajin to clarify if she wants to be made healthy. The fan clarifies she wants Hwajin to stay healthy, leaving him mildly surprised by her unselfish wish. Shifting his focus, Hwajin points his finger at another fan and asks for her wish. Blushing nervously, the second fan states she only wants Hwajin to have a wonderful day today. Looking slightly perplexed, Hwajin points toward another section of the crowd and calls for the next wish. Hwajin frowns slightly, clearly unaccustomed to such genuine and completely selfless well-wishes from others. The entire crowd erupts into affectionate cheers, wishing him health and pleading for him to stay forever. Surrounded by falling confetti, Hwajin stands in silent disbelief at the crowd's heartwarming, genuine support. Soft light reflects in Hwajin's eyes as he absorbs the pure, unconditional affection of his fans. Hwajin quietly realizes it has been ages since any believer celebrated his birthday without ulterior motives. Joyful fans wave a supportive banner as Hwajin generously tells the crowd to share the cake. Hwajin officially brings the fan meeting to a close, thanking everyone for their hard work tonight. Letting out a massive sigh of relief, Soyu walks backstage as the intense event ends. Soi feels immense relief that the highly chaotic fan meeting concluded without any major incidents. Soi reminds Hwajin that the successful broadcast was only possible because of his secret sound transmission. Backstage, it is revealed that Hwajin used sound transmission to secretly instruct Taeil to prepare the video call. Former members wave joyfully, successfully completing their surprise video call appearance for the fans.
From his office, the CEO watches the stream on his laptop, smiling smugly at their clever trick. The CEO smirks, realizing they used his exact same marketing tactics to pay him back. After the successful event, 3 group members walk down the backstage hallway together. Sensing their approach, Hwa-jin turns his head back to see who is walking up behind him. So-yi walks up to Hwa-jin, asking why he asked the fans what they wanted earlier. Hwa-jin explains that on his birthday, it is customary for believers to offer tributes and name targets. A shocked So-yi asks if he was genuinely planning to take assassination requests at a fan meeting. Hwa-jin smugly notes that the CEO must be furious, now knowing they have no intention of obeying. Hwa-jin suddenly denies it, leaving So-yi completely baffled by his unexpected response. The members walking behind them discuss how they could have exposed the CEO during the video call instead. So-yi continues walking with Hwa-jin, noting that they still do not know the full story. Suddenly, Jaha pops up between them with a bright smile, eagerly asking what they are discussing. Jaha cheerfully congratulates So-yi on the successful fan meeting and wishes him a happy birthday too.
Hwa-jin watches them walk ahead, his face darkening with a hint of quiet annoyance.
Hwa-jin narrows his red eyes, looking deeply irritated by Jaha's sudden and overly familiar intrusion. Bright blue neon sign of the Yongsan sauna glows against the deep twilight sky. Inside the sauna, So-yi nervously assures Hwa-jin that everything is completely fine. A muscular, shirtless youth wrapped in a white towel sits quietly on a wooden sauna bench. The shirtless youth explains that they lack the mutual trust to meet fully dressed yet. He admits to being shocked upon receiving the secret sound transmission from them earlier. The gray-haired youth solemnly explains that Demon Sword felt incredibly grateful for their assistance. An emotional flashback shows the former idols crying and comforting one another in their grief. The youth asks what happened, and So-yi requests that he explain everything to them. The youth assumes they would have understood everything after reading the Wulin Gongjek article. So-yi listens with a serious and focused expression as the explanation begins. Flashback shows a member waking up to realize something crucial has disappeared from him.
So-yi asks in absolute disbelief if the missing body parts are genuinely gone.
Flashbacks illustrate the tragic moments when different members suddenly lost various physical senses and limbs. A sudden chill makes So-yi go burr as he realizes their lyrics were real. The narrator reveals that the cult leader CEO appeared on the exact day their body parts vanished. A flashback shows a member facing the CEO, who smiles innocently in a dark suit. Pretending to care, the smiling CEO convinced them they could no longer work and forced them out. The shirtless youth explains that because his lost part was hidden, he had wanted to continue. A flashback shows a masked master standing in a dark alleyway, marking the start of his harassment. So-yi realizes with sudden clarity that the entire feud expose was fabricated to cover this up. An overhead view shows the 3 sitting in the sauna, desperate and grabbing at any hope. Hwa-jin sternly intervenes, declaring that his position does not accept human sacrifices under any circumstances. The gray-haired youth looks down, acknowledging the harsh truth with a heavy heart. He explains their theory that they were discarded as failed ingredients for summoning the heavenly demon. The narration explains that the CEO specifically recruited trainees who possessed martial arts-style names. Trainees were forced to learn inner power arts, destined to be sacrificed as materials for the ritual. Horror washes over So-yu's face as he absorbs the grim reality of the CEO's ultimate success. Hwa-jin suggests the ritual backfired when it failed, which the youth confirms as their primary guess. So-yi is filled with deep disgust at how the CEO lied, manipulated, and discarded these children. So-yi carefully asks the shirtless youth to reveal exactly what part of himself he lost. With a sad smile, the youth softly answers that he lost something big and beautiful. A sudden swoosh sounds as the youth begins to lift his towel, offering visual proof. So-yi turns pale with wide sweat-dropping eyes as he realizes what is about to happen. Standing up, the youth prepares to show them the truth in case they doubt his story. So-yi panics, frantically questioning why the youth is approaching them. So-yi covers his face in absolute terror, screaming that he believes him and regrets asking. With a swift flap, the youth drops his towel, prompting So-yi to shriek in pure comedic horror. The scene transitions to the quiet night sky where a bright full moon shines over the rooftops. Hwa-jin and So-yi walk side by side down a dimly lit city street after leaving the sauna. Wearing a black cap, Hwa-jin glances back as So-yi calls out to him. So-yi quietly asks what one is supposed to do when they absolutely cannot forgive someone. With a soft ha, an amused, knowing smile spreads across Hwa-jin's face. Hwa-jin notes that So-yi clearly cannot forgive the CEO, even though it is not his problem. Staring up at the glowing moon, So-yi admits that he knows it is not his concern. He firmly decides that now that he knows the truth, he cannot sit idly by. Hwa-jin looks at So-yi, asking if he remembers his previous warning to him. So-yi glances back, recalling the prediction that his morality would lead to his demise. So-yi dryly retorts that it was the least helpful piece of advice Hwa-jin has ever given. Smiling warmly, Hwa-jin acknowledges So-yi's determination to see the CEO fall despite the danger. The heavenly demon resolves to help So-yi just this once, admitting his fondness for such fools. Blonde-haired So-yi stands backstage holding a black smartphone with a concerned and quiet expression.
Looking down at the screen, Soi is completely bewildered by the sudden online post.
The phone screen displays an online rumor alleging that Heavenly Demon enjoys eating spicy malatang.
The online post continues by baselessly claiming that Heavenly Demon is actually of Chinese descent.
It concludes by predicting that the idol is bound to quit the group and flee.
Topping the screen, Soi dismisses the rumors as baseless clickbait with no logic.
Backstage, Jaha asks what a pigeon means, prompting Soi to define it as a quitter.
Huajin wonders if the fans distrust him, but Soi advises him to simply ignore it. During the rumor, Huajin furiously yells that he has never even tasted spicy malatang before. Soi cheerfully schedules a hot pot meal for later, completely unfazed by Huajin's angry protests. Dismissing the drama, Soi confidently waves his hand and expects the issue to die down. Later in his office, the blonde-haired manager sits at his desk looking intensely worried. On his phone, Soi views forum comments and wonders why the controversy is still growing.
Staring at the screen, Soi worries because the fans are targeting both Huajin and Tail.
A malicious post accuses Huajin of hiding his background by claiming the Central Plains.
Frustrated, Soi mutters to himself that even Jaha openly claims to be from Mount Wasan.
With a heavy sigh, Soi tries to calm himself down and take deep, steady breaths. He reminds himself that the best strategy in this situation is to remain completely silent. Suddenly, a sharp click sounds as Huajin slides the office door open and steps inside.
Huajin asks his manager if he has seen the massive outrage exploding on the forum.
Soi looks up from his desk, recommending they ignore the post, but Huajin interrupts him. Huajin holds up a rolled sheet of paper, proudly announcing he wrote an official apology. Soi stares blankly, his mind going completely empty at the unexpected and bizarre revelation. Huajin clears his throat, explaining his apology letter, while a baffled Soi questions his methods. A confused blue question mark floats near Soi's head as he struggles to comprehend. The paper reveals Huajin's dramatic crafted message detailing a past trip to the local sauna. With a sharp rip, Soi tears up the draft, prompting a shocked scream from Huajin. Huajin demands Soi's phone for 2 weeks, leaving the manager screaming in absolute outrage. Suddenly, a loud buzz sounds as the confiscated smartphone vibrates on the office desk. The screen repeatedly flashes and vibrates on the wood, signaling a barrage of incoming notifications. With a swift motion, Huajin grabs the vibrating phone to check what is happening. The screen shows dozens of urgent direct messages and a newly uploaded audio file. With a quick press, Huajin opens the newly received audio file to listen to it. The recording plays Huajin's own voice secretly discussing his desire to return to his world. Sweat dropping in pure shock, Soi asks if Huajin is truly planning on going back. Staring back with deep, serious red eyes, Huajin solemnly confirms that he intends to. Soi demands to know why Huajin is listening to their leaked private conversation so seriously. Soi holds his phone, noting that although they know the truth, the fans do not. A new forum post displays a video claiming to expose Huajin's plan to abandon Korea. The comments showed devastated fans declaring they were quitting the fandom out of betrayal. Sweat dripping down his face, Soi desperately tries to figure out who leaked the file.
Huajin recalls their private meeting at the hot springs, guessing a stalker fan was responsible.
Huajin recalls the Jongnam sect member ranting about the CEO, while Soi looks deeply worried. A sudden realization hits Soi, his eyes widening in shock as everything clicks together. Huajin stands silently behind Soi, observing his manager's sudden revelation with a steady gaze. Huajin explains that the culprit was unable to upload the rest of their private conversation.
A stylized diagram illustrates that the remaining conversation only discussed secret inner power martial arts.
Huajin reflects on how they openly discussed summoning rituals during their private hot spring meeting. Soi agrees that normal citizens would have easily dismissed those details as fictional idol concepts. Looking down with absolute confidence, Huajin declares that their path forward is actually quite simple. The light brown-haired manager in a gray shirt demands the release of the remaining audio.
A floating speech bubble over the agency logo questions if they finally realize who they can trust.
The dark-haired CEO in a black suit sits smugly at his ground office desk. Standing behind the light brown-haired manager, the long-haired youth firmly confirms his agreement. Sitting across from the CEO, the manager asks if resolving these situations is his actual job. The CEO mockingly calls the manager incredibly shameless for returning after ruining the fan meeting. Looking away downcast, the manager defends his past actions as the best option at the time. A sudden creak echoes as the dark office chair rotates to face the two visitors. The dark-haired CEO crosses his arms, looking completely pleased and confident in his office.
Standing tall behind the manager, the long-haired youth sternly commands the CEO to find the uploader.
In the spacious office, the CEO threatens to retaliate by releasing the entire leaked conversation online. Touching his chin, the CEO smugly notes that the remaining conversation is simply too honest. With a quick rhythmic tap on his desk, the CEO warns that the release would destroy their credibility. The manager looks forward grimly, admitting that the CEO's assessment of their situation is correct. The CEO taunts them, questioning what they would do if he decides not to release it. Slapping his hand on the desk, the CEO aggressively questions if they doubt his industry experience. The manager listens nervously as the CEO advises simply letting the controversy blow over time. Smiling comfortably, the CEO claims this level of scandal will not permanently damage the group star. The CEO mockingly states that the manager lacks the ruthless nature required to play the villain. The manager realizes that while the idol might survive, the other member will face complete ruin. Unestablished members of the group stand to suffer the most if the scandal remains unaddressed. A dark, sinister shadow falls over the grinning CEO as he celebrates his total leverage. Speaking calmly, the long-haired youth declares they are left with absolutely no other choice. With swift whip, the long-haired youth threatens to leak a secret document on social media. The CEO suddenly collapses onto his desk in shock, leaving his visitors thoroughly confused. Trembling with sweat, the CEO takes the paper and questions what they have handed him. The dark-haired youth reveals the document is a dramatic, handwritten apology from the heavenly demon. The CEO peers over the paper, glaring in utter disbelief at their ridiculous backup plan. An awkward, cosmic silence stretches over the office as everyone processes the bizarre turn of events. Trembling with nervous sweat, the CEO desperately asks what stops him from ripping the paper. Grabbing his forehead, the stressed manager desperately calls out to stop his unpredictable companion. Glowing with a terrifying, demonic aura, the long-haired youth blackmails the CEO into compliance. The panic-stricken CEO desperately screams empty threats to destroy the idol's public image. The CEO breaks out in a nervous sweat, looking completely defeated by the sheer absurdity of their threat. The scene transitions to the grand exterior of high-rise apartment buildings under a light sky. Entering the apartment with a soft click of the door, the manager sighs in deep relief. The manager's attention is caught as a familiar voice calls out to welcome them back. A dark-haired youth in a black t-shirt greets them with a bright, cheerful expression. The dark-haired youth asks if they are alone, and the manager explains everyone's busy schedules. Looking slightly nervous, the manager asks the dark-haired youth if his fellow member is all right. The smiling youth cheerfully reports that the meeting went well and everything will be sorted out. Placing a gentle, comforting hand on the youth's shoulder, the manager apologizes for the constant troubles. The youth smiles brightly and reassures his worried manager that he is completely fine. The manager stares intently at the smiling youth, who insists there is no need to worry. A dark realization hits the manager, noting that the youth behaves like a different person. Stepping up behind his manager, the long-haired youth questions if the boy is truly all right. The long-haired youth reflects that as a new member, this boy stands to lose the most. Looking closely at the boy's smiling face, they noted disturbing absence of any desperation. A dark flashback reveals how the real terrified boy used to look under immense pressure. They realize this copycat simply doesn't care about the group's fate or their ongoing lives. Despite his talent, the trainee Nam Gung-jun struggled to debut solely due to his martial surname. Observing him practice, Sohee reflects on how strangely lethargic the talented trainee became after his debut. Standing at the doorway, Sohee looks into the empty practice room with a quiet, pensive expression. Looking downcast, Sohee wonders if the boy standing in front of him is truly Nam Gung-jun. Staring at the back of the black-haired youth, Sohee realizes there are too many unanswered questions. Overwhelmed by his thoughts, Sohee clutches his head in deep stress as the phone begins to ring. The smartphone repeatedly vibrates on the desk, indicating an incoming call from the CEO's phone. Answered by the manager, the CEO greets Sohee while the black-haired boy stands by with a startled expression. Speaking calmly into his phone, the blonde manager reports that they found the leaker but faced a slight problem. The CEO questions the problem while Sohee explains that even the group's fans are capable of building inner power. With a serious expression, the manager reveals that the culprit managed to escape using light footwork martial arts. The scene shifts to a grand multi-tiered traditional temple glistening under the bright morning sky. This grand cultural site was built to attract tourists and has become a holy ground for devoted fans. Hwajin stands tall in his dramatic red robes, partially concealing his face with a vibrant red fan. Lowering his fan slightly, Hwajin asks his manager if it is truly safe for him to appear without a disguise. Sohee firmly tells him no, reminding the high-profile idol that fans will swarm the area if he is recognized. The manager explains that the crowded area is full of fans cosplaying as the heavenly demon, making it the perfect disguise. Hwajin is deeply insulted that fans fall for cheap imitations, but Soleil assures him the fans are not fooled. The manager explains that the fans know the cosplayers are fake and only gather there out of pure love for the character. Hwajin questions why the manager wore a mask, and Sohee sheepishly responds that his own face is also recognizable. Adjusting his mask, the manager notes that the culprit apparently managed to sneak into this highly crowded area. Peering over his fan, Hwajin realizes that he likely knows the identity of the culprit they are chasing. The manager identifies the leaker as Dang Sacheon, a former trainee who shared the same agency as them. A blue-haired youth with a neat ponytail stands silently with his hands crossed behind his back. The two trainees stand side by side in matching gray sweatshirts, presenting a stark visual contrast from behind. Nam Gung-jun smiles warmly as the blue-haired youth decides to leave the training company for good. Clasping his chest in bitter frustration, the blue-haired youth stands shadowed by his deep feelings of resentment. A furious thought bubble declares that the agency is completely unworthy of housing someone of his caliber. Hwajin observes that it is actually the CEO who constantly creates enemies for their agency. The stressed manager silently complains about always being the one forced to clean up after the CEO. Hwajin explains that Dang Sacheon is a formidable opponent who trained in inner power martial arts for over 5 years. Sohee reasons they need to search for someone possessing immense inner power matching the group members. Pointing forward, Hwajin suggests looking for someone like the tall figure standing nearby and checking his phone.
A sudden sharp gasp echoes nearby, catching the manager completely off guard as they locate their target. A swift, powerful attack is launched as the two figures instantly clash in a flurry of movement. Hwajin easily blocks the sudden assault, confirming that the blue-haired youth indeed possesses strong inner power. Glaring with menacing red eyes, Hwajin demands that the culprit immediately hand over the stolen voice recording. Looking back in complete shock, the blue-haired youth struggles to process the overwhelming strength before him. Realization strikes the blue-haired youth as he gasps in sheer terror, recognizing the true identity of his opponent. Raising his glowing hand, Hwajin coldly challenges the terrified youth, asking what will happen if he refuses. Sachan desperately attempts to strike first, but Hwajin moves with blinding speed to counter the attack. A swift, decisive strike slices through the air, completely shattering the opponent's desperate defensive stance.
Staring with absolute chilling focus, Hwajin's glowing red eyes peer over his red fan.
Staring back in absolute shock and terror, the blue-haired youth's eyes widen as he faces defeat. The defeated youth collapses to his knees covered in dust while onlookers watch the sudden confrontation in confusion. Kneeling on the ground, the blue-haired youth looks up in complete bewilderment at the unscathed martial artist. Smirking behind his fan, Hwajin mockingly praises the defeated youth's impressive faceplant onto the hard ground. Looking at his dusty hands, the blue-haired youth refuses to believe he was so easily thrown to the dirt. The defeated youth clutches his chest in disbelief, wondering how he was thrown without even realizing it. Walking away, Hwajin comments that the boy's body is far more honest than his stubborn pride. Hwajin calmly assures his terrified opponent that he has no intention of killing him. The blue-haired youth feels an overwhelming sense of dread, realizing the situation is dangerous. Deciding it is best to retreat, the blue-haired youth quickly prepares to flee. With a swift leap, the blue-haired youth escapes across the traditional temple rooftops. Leaping through the air, the blue-haired youth questions how the newly debuted idol's power exceeds his own 5 years of training. A sudden slap from Hwajin's fan cuts off his escape, knocking him down with a sharp gasp. The blonde manager watches in shock as the blue-haired youth crashes down from the rooftops with painful grunts. The blue-haired youth lies completely defeated on the ground, sobbing quietly in embarrassment. Standing over the defeated culprit, Hwajin coldly demands that he hand over the stolen recording file immediately. Walking away, a sudden soft tap sounds as Hwajin shifts his focus. Struggling to sit up, the blue-haired youth mutters in complete disbelief at his swift defeat. The blue-haired youth wonders how a simple idol could defeat a trained clan head so effortlessly. Peering over his fan, Hwajin mockingly asks if he has ever watched his variety shows, claiming 100 years of training. Holding up his phone, the blonde manager calmly asks the defeated youth if he wishes to continue fighting. The manager suddenly slides a traditional mask over his face, startling the blue-haired youth. A foreboding blue energy crackles intensely behind the masked manager as he prepares to act. The blue-haired youth gasps in sheer terror as a blinding blue light envelops him. Cowering in absolute shock, the blue-haired youth mistakenly assumes the manager is using ancient lightning martial arts. A sudden crackling sound of electricity reveals a high-voltage stun gun charged with 500,000 volts. With a cheerful smile, the manager holds up the taser, declaring it is a one-hit kill. The blue-haired youth groans in agony, staggering backward after receiving a powerful electric shock. The manager asks for the recording file while the desperate youth eyes a nearby fire extinguisher. The blue-haired youth angrily criticizes the manager for using a cheap store-bought stun gun instead of real martial arts. Grabbing the fire extinguisher, the blue-haired youth desperately declares that he will not be defeated so easily. The scene transitions to the blue-haired youth sitting completely bound in ropes inside a moving van. The captive youth claims to be deeply moved, but the blonde manager dryly corrects him as deeply shocked. The captive youth grimly realizes why Namgung-jun debuted over him, reflecting on his own failed attempts to be vicious. The youth notes his petty villain concept stood no chance against the manager, leaving Soe feeling insulted. Inside the spacious black van, the tied-up youth and the calm manager sit opposite each other. Staring intensely, the captive youth asks what they plan to do with the stolen voice recording. The manager calmly explains his plan to release the full audio so the leaked portion seems scripted. The captive asks why they do not just delete the post, and the manager explains doing so would fuel rumors. The captive youth falls silent, processing the manager's logical but ruthless strategy. The captive youth points out that they did not actually need to hunt him down for the recording. The manager counters that he was the poster, but the youth reveals others also recorded the conversation. The captive youth casually reveals that their fellow member, Namgung-jun, was also present at the hot spring. The manager reacts with absolute shock and confusion to the unexpected revelation. The captive youth confirms he could never mistake Namgung-jun, having trained alongside him for several years. A sudden flashback of the smiling black-haired youth highlights the growing mystery surrounding his true identity. The startled manager turns to Hwajin and questions if the idol was already aware of this fact. Hwajin remains completely silent, his gaze fixed forward as a tense atmosphere fills the van. An uncomfortable silence stretches between the manager and the quiet idol inside the vehicle. Looking deeply troubled, the manager asks Hwajin if there is something he is hiding from him. Hwajin looks back with a serious and unreadable expression, maintaining his silent composure. Hwajin gently smiles and tells the manager that he will not pry into his secrets if he has any. The parked van sits quietly as the manager questions why the ancient martial artist refuses to pry.
A heartfelt confession fills the scene as the manager admits he has come to deeply rely on him. The manager stares warmly at the quiet idol, acknowledging the deep trust that has formed between them.
The captive youth watches the sentimental exchange with a flat, completely unimpressed expression.
Hwa-jin stares back in silence, the quiet bond between them strengthening in the calm van.
The blonde manager solemnly points out that they cannot change the reality of the situation.
Hwa-jin reflects on how the heavenly demon naturally clashes with stubborn, overly righteous individuals who value chivalry. Hwa-jin realizes that the manager must have been truly desperate to resort to using him. The tied-up youth watches in complete bewilderment as the two men talk before him. The manager remarks on how Hwa-jin's behavior perfectly mirrors the actual legendary figure. A sudden wave of realization washes over the manager, leaving him utterly stunned.
Hwa-jin quietly deduces his weakened state stems from a flaw during his summoning ritual.
Hwa-jin explains his diminished power made it impossible to recognize the masked master's aura.
The manager frets over the CEO discovering the truth, but Hwa-jin calmly reassures him.
The blue-haired youth loudly reminds the secretive duo that he is still sitting right there.
Captive youth questions their bizarre conversation, noting Hwa-jin sounds exactly like his character.
The captive asks if they failed to overhear the details revealed at the hot spring. They bluntly confirm that the seemingly absurd summoning rumor is actually the absolute truth.
Dang Sacheon is completely astounded to realize a real heavenly demon became a pop idol. Dang Sacheon humorously laments the sheer irony of a righteous idol group harboring the heavenly demon.
Hwa-jin wonders how the CEO could tolerate such a noisy trainee for 5 whole years.
The manager firmly decides that they cannot release their loud captive just yet.
A sudden quick tap sounds as the manager places a hand on Dang Sacheon's shoulder, calling his name.
The manager leans in close, fixing the startled youth with a quiet, intense gaze.
In a quiet room, a mysterious black-haired man works diligently on his glowing laptop.
A sudden thud sounds as the man resolves to return to his true home someday.
The smiling man turns around as a voice questions his firm resolve to return home.
Standing before a blank hanging scroll, the man notes that this poses a significant problem.
A soft rustle sounds as his hand reaches out to touch the blank scroll. With a serene smile, the man turns back, his calm expression hiding deep secrets.